In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Millions of Americans are once again waking up to a federal government that is shut down.
Who cares?
I thought they died.
The motion upon reconsideration is not agreed to.
The Senate trying and failing for the fourth time to turn the lights on.
What difference at this point does it make?
We're in a shutdown posture here because of Senate Democrats.
Bingo. Hell yes.
We need to sit down and negotiate it. He won't even do that.
Democrats are pushing Republicans to extend expiring subsidies that make the Affordable Care Act more affordable.
Democrats need to vote for the clean, nonpartisan, continuing resolution sitting right there. And then we can talk.
Hundreds of thousands of federal workers in limbo. The Trump administration is pushing to have some of those workers fired.
You're fired.
A lot of Americans are going to be in danger.
50,000 working class Americans will die.
I doubt it.
You are fake news.
Ooh, don't do it.
Very fake news.
Please don't do it.
I don't give a damn fuck.
Well, it's not my concern.
But become friends with school shooters.
Definitely worth checking into.
All right, America, go to the YouTube right now.
Dude, Matt straight up sucks.
How dare you?
All right, go.
In 5, 4, 3.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Sunday, October 5th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight, he's our friend, Batman. Welcome back.
Saddle up, partner.
What are we doing, folks?
Well, we are now 5 days into
Government shutdown.
Congratulations on your survival, Batman.
0 people were affected.
Well, Bernie and AOC say 50,000 working class Americans will die if we don't act quickly on their healthcare demands. The thing about the Affordable Care Act, because that's at the center of this controversy, wasn't it like 15 years ago that Democrats insisted this would save everyone's life? Now the Affordable Care Act itself is insufficient. And it's going to, if we don't adjust it, it's going to kill 50,000 people.
Well, it's only okay to kill people if they do it.
Yeah, well, I've learned that lesson the hard way many times, it seems. I haven't. I've observed it the hard way. I didn't learn. You're right. I didn't learn it the hard way yet, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I've observed it the hard way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're out there, you're listening, and or if you're listening out there, congratulations on your survival. Assuredly, Shutdown is going to claim your life very soon. But until then, we'll enjoy the time that we have. In about a half hour, Sean Fitzgerald, actual justice warrior, will stop by. We're going to talk about the ongoing chaos in Portland, Oregon. There was an arrest of a conservative journalist there. Another one got attacked. The DOJ is talking about going after the police department there. And Sean also will tell me about what appears to be a massive scam in the Baltimore Public School District. They have been paying for ghost students, Batman. There are a lot of ghosts who attend the Baltimore public school system. Did you know that?
It doesn't surprise me. I'm sure you may have heard about the whole shit show with the Unsubscribed podcast and the Buffalo School District.
I know a little bit about it, not a lot though.
Well, basically they're more leftist pedo protectors.
That's right.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Well, in Baltimore, they're billing the taxpayer for students they can't account for. Their whereabouts are unknown, but the taxpayer is paying for their education anyway. Though, in fairness, Baltimore does have a very high body count. So whereabouts on the students might not actually be fake. They might have just been killed in the gang war. I don't know. But in other news tonight, terrible. The Kavanaugh attempted assassin is a woman now, and she, I guess.
No, he isn't.
has received a light prison sentence. I'm not clear if this person is going to women's prison or not, but a light prison sentence for this person. And that's the CNN language, which we'll get to. Is it a man? Is it a woman? CNN can't decide. It's a person. We're going to go with that.
You can just stick with it. I think that works.
That's where we're headed. A child murderer in Kentucky is free, although I've learned earlier today he's not legally a murderer, even though he absolutely is a murderer. That's part of the complication here. But he's free after 8 years in prison, thanks to, well, everybody thought it was the parole board. The parole board saying it's not us. It's what the law requires in Kentucky. It's kind of complicated, but the bottom line is a guy who stabbed a kid about a decade ago is going to be free, or is free. He's headed to Florida to live out his supervision.
See, this is part of the reason why when you sent me the topics earlier, I was like, wow, when you see all of these things piled up next to each other, it's difficult to come to any other conclusion than our country's fucked.
It's a clown pill news cycle. And I'm not even done yet.
Yeah, I know.
A Democrat candidate for attorney general in Virginia wants his, or wanted a few years ago, his political opposition, the Speaker of the Virginia House, dead. And he texted colleagues about it. And now those texts are public. Plus, I've got some hoax hate, and that includes a Florida sheriff cracking down on the national epidemic of transgender sexual deception, colloquially known as the fraudulent blowy that we talk about on this stream all the time. A sheriff is getting very serious about that. It's a big problem. And I have a long-forgotten bit returning for you, Batman. I have some surprise cringe for your consideration to close. I reserve only the finest cringe for these things, so it's back.
Yeah, we'll see if I haven't heard of this one already, but I'm interested to see what you've got to bring to bear.
Yeah, plus we've got your super chats as well. We'll take a break halfway through the show to get to those and then to close the show as usual. All right, got to say hello to our friendly listener-owned business for the evening as well, and that's our friends at Hero Soap Company. When you try Hero Soap Company, not only are you getting a great-smelling all-natural product, not only can you subscribe and get soap sent straight to your door each month, but you can get signature soaps designed by yours truly. Timberline is the classic, a frosty pine experience where the forest meets the peaks. Double menthol for that high-altitude cooling effect. Or you can try Old West, highly underrated, people say in the Hero Soap reviews on their website. The sweet smell of leather and oak barrels will bust open the saloon doors. And don't forget, Hero doesn't just offer bar soap. They have body wash, shampoo, conditioner, cologne, and more. You can get 10% off all of it using promo code MCListener. Let freedom clean with Hero Soap Company. Promo code MCListener. 10% off site-wide. HeroSoapCompany.com. Find everything you need from our friends at Hero Soap Company, plus other great offers from the rest of our friendly listener-owned businesses like Western Razor Company, Kineo, Mountain Woodsmithing, Hope Innovations, and more. MattChristiansenMedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners. For listeners. All right, moving into the news, Batman. Let me get that up here. Sorry, I got too many buttons in front of me. You know, I forget which ones do what. Anyway, recall the obese Detroit rapper Dank Demoss, otherwise known as Deja Blanding. The woman so fat that Lyft could not lift her. Her Lyft driver last January refused to give her a ride in his compact sedan, on the basis that he said she could not fit in the car, though she insisted that she could. We never got to see that tested because he drove away. And so she sued Lyft for anti-fat or anti-weight discrimination, which is actually a real legal thing in Michigan. In Michigan, weight is protected in anti-discrimination law in the same way race, gender, faith, those sorts of things would be. So here's the original story about Dank Demoss from last winter.
Deja Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like,
That's
oh
a
man,
huge bitch.
I can fit in this car.
But believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me.
He told her there's not enough room in his car.
I knew it was illegal and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say weight is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
Okay, so Dank Demoss has actually settled this lawsuit. It sounds preposterous, but her claim apparently has a legal basis in Michigan, legitimate enough that Lyft has opted to settle the claim rather than fight her in court. Maybe they just want to make it go away, and she didn't have as much of a legal basis as it seems like. But yeah, she has something credible legally in Michigan. Anything to avoid personal responsibility, of course. This was actually reported 2 weeks ago. I didn't see it until this week. But Dank Demoss, we don't know how much, because her lawyer is confirming that they've settled the case out of court, but that implies that she got some kind of payout. We don't know how much, because her lawyer's not saying anything. We know it's settled because that's confirmed in court records, but as far as what it was settled for, not public. So I would say this is good news, Batman, insofar as, things get tougher. If times get tougher, you can always move to Michigan, put on a bunch of weight, and wait until someone says no to you, and then just cash in. I think if things don't work out for me and my family, I'll try that method out.
I'm supporting my family by being unsupportable myself.
Yeah, it's a new method, but it seems to check out. And Dank Demoss is a leader in that regard.
If I can break axles by sitting down, then that's a quality that I can cash in on.
I'm still disappointed that we didn't get to see the driver's insistence tested. There's no way you're going to fit in this car and my tires can't support it, was his claim. Now, I'm not sure if the tires would be the first thing to fail on the car, to your point, but I wouldn't be surprised if something failed. That suspension is going to be challenged for sure. But
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, look at her trying to walk down that hallway. That person next to her needed to hug the wall to avoid being,
Hold on, let me see it one more time.
Deja Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to the Detroit Lions watch.
Watch out for that doorknob. There's not a lot of room.
And she had to go by the that water fountain there, and between the two of them, and the other lady is very thin, it appears, they took up the entire hallway.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. That I don't know what the width on that hallway is in terms of feet, but it is certainly meant to accommodate more people than it actually did in that situation.
Well, she's roughly as wide as she is tall.
Probably.
So,
she's very square. You're right.
Yeah.
But into the real news, we are somehow alive still in the absolute chaos of
government shutdown.
Actually, very little development since the shutdown began at the stroke of midnight on Wednesday. Remember, Democrats are demanding the extension of Affordable Care Act tax credits from the COVID-era Biden American Rescue Plan. Those actually don't expire until the end of the year, but Democrats are hysterically acting like they do, or like we have to have some kind of urgency on this. Republicans say everything can be negotiated, but they don't want to do that during a shutdown. Their stance is pass a clean spending extension for 7 weeks and negotiate as normal while business resumes. Now, the House already passed a clean continuing resolution. Sorry, I'm scrolling for... there was something in here about Schumer meeting Thune, and I thought I had it marked, but I guess I don't. Whatever. Anyway, so Republicans are saying everything can be negotiated. They don't want to do that during a shutdown. Their stance is pass a clean spending extension, and then we'll talk about it. And the House already did that. They planned to, or they already they passed this clean spending extension. We'll just carry on government business for 7 weeks while we talk about all these points of dispute. Senate Democrats still refuse. And since the bill requires 60 votes to pass in the Senate, Republicans don't have the votes. Rand Paul has also defected. So you're looking at pulling 8 Democrats to continue the government at status quo temporarily while we negotiate. 3 Senate Democrats before the shutdown did break ranks and vote to keep the government open. And that seemed like, it made it seem like Schumer's grip on his caucus might be a little bit weak. However, through the rest of the week, we've seen no change in Democrat willingness to go along with the clean temporary spending extension. There have now been 4 votes in the Senate on 2 different short-term extension bills. They still don't have the votes. Right now, the House remains away. Speaker Johnson's stance is, hey, we voted to fund the government temporarily to negotiate a more long-term budget bill. We'll come back when the Senate is done. in the Senate, there is no clear plan right now. So far, Majority Leader Thune hasn't succeeded in pulling the necessary Democrats over, of course. We've seen 4 votes to that effect. Schumer hasn't budged. And right now, there aren't any formal plans or for a meeting between Thune and Schumer or Trump. Thune and Schumer were seen speaking at the Capitol together on Friday, but they left, they as in all members of the Senate and effectively all of Congress, they left for the weekend. So whatever might happen won't happen until tomorrow. So Trump is still more so threatening to exercise leverage than actually deploying it. Trump has now moved to cancel or delay federal money for 16 states, most of them blue states. These include money for Chicago's transit system, money for green energy in New York, so-called green energy at least, money for Portland, things like that.
Who cares?
Good. Here's the real question. Why were we giving them money for these things in the first place?
Because they were appropriated by Congress, those bastards.
I mean, well, okay, yes, I know that, but ultimately, it's like, oh, you people live in these tightly compacted places that are effectively uninhabitable, or not uninhabitable, but you know what I mean, unfit for human beings to really live on. So we need to pay you for that. Like that's like,
well,
you made a stupid decision, so we need to pay you for your stupid decision.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in fairness to them, these are projects that Congress has approved, regardless of their worthiness for so-called investment. But yeah, I mean,
which means Congress needed, or whatever Congress that approved that desperately needed to be replaced.
Correct.
But I mean,
congressional wisdom should be questioned here for sure. And the will of Congress is going to be the test here. Is Trump likely to succeed long-term in denying funding for these projects to these states? Probably not, insofar as these are legitimate congressional appropriations. There's going to be legal challenges, but it's really all about the delay. It's about pressuring Democrats to stop this nonsense and get back in line.
They won't.
So Congress could do that. Congress could get back together tomorrow and start giving Trump orders on how they want things done. Maybe they'll do that. Doubtful, given the track record of this last week. The fights also might be resolved in court. There are lawsuits filed already. But again, it's not about the actual denial here. It's about political pressure, and that's what we're seeing happening.
Well, I hope this lasts for as long as possible. And people start to realize that we don't need them. Right? Do you remember that movie V for Vendetta?
Of course. Right? It's one of the best I ever watched.
Yes, agreed. They just didn't realize that the hilarious commie faggotry would come from the left, not the right.
Yeah, I missed a little bit on that, but yeah, pretty much.
But there's this wonderful moment where the guy who heads up everything is yelling at all of his subordinates, "I want everyone to remember why they need us."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is a good reminder that we don't.
Let's shut down the government and remind everybody why we don't need them.
Yeah. Hopefully people observe how normal life is around them, contrary to the warnings about your imminent doom because your health insurance is going to spike or this or that. No, you don't need them to save your life. And they just act like that so they can get you to do their bidding. But Trump has also threatened
55,000 people are gonna die.
It's always seems like 50,000 is the favorite number too.
It
seems like that's his go-to. It's always 50.
Yeah.
Trump has also threatened mass firings of federal employees this week. Budget and Management Director Russ Vought said the firings would be imminent within a few days. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said those firings could be in the thousands. So far, nobody's been fired, though, to my knowledge. So these are threats. I saw a Grim Reaper meme posted by Trump, but no firings yet. So the political leverage, the exercise in political leverage continues. But it's still, it's the same as it was when this started on Wednesday. It's just a staring contest waiting to see who blinks. And the Democrat strategy appears to be screaming that the sky is falling and blaming Trump, because that's what their strategy is always. The problem for them, of course, is that clean bill from the House to fund the government is awaiting their votes in the Senate. They just refuse. And they are apparently thinking the shutdown works in their favor it is under a theory, though, that I hadn't previously considered. They are operating under the assumption that nobody actually knows or cares who they are.
Bingo.
MSNBC analyst John Fugelsang says, well, how could anyone possibly blame Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader? Nobody even knows who he is.
The average American doesn't know who Hakeem Jeffries is. They're going to see one party controlling the White House, House, and Senate and blame Trump and Trump alone.
Right, that's a good point. Like how the average American's not going to work their way around the fact that somehow Hakeem Jeffries, who's the minority leader, is responsible for this shutdown.
Okay, well, number one, voters already punished
the average American is a fucking retard, and we're the smart ones, so
Correct,
you should probably just fall in line and do what we say.
Yeah.
Fuck yourself with a wire brush. I mean, really.
You don't know what they might enjoy.
So out of touch.
Yeah. Number one, voters have already punished Democrats for their ridiculous weaponized antics against Trump. That's why Trump is president, you know. It is as much about Trump as it is punishing the people who deployed every dishonest, immoral tactic against him. So I'm not sure that this strategy of blame Trump is going to work out in your favor. You've tried it a million times. And number two, people do know who Hakeem Jeffries is, actually. Everyone recognizes him from his sombrero.
I'm getting really tired of all that dollar store Obama shit. It's getting old, homie. My name is not Dollar Store Obama. Okay, pendejo?
And he's the guy who famously promised to fart hard for Democrat Party priorities.
We'll fart hard.
But to your point, isn't that clip on MSNBC revealing about Democrat strategy? They are saying intentionally, we don't care about our tactics. We don't even care if people know who we are. We just care about hating Trump, getting people to blame Trump. Again, this is the party that claims to care so much about you. They're going to save you from imminent death. They're going to protect your health insurance. They only care about getting you to do their bidding, to hate their opposition and vote for them as the alternative, even though they are far worse.
Well, their greatest success is the fact that they've managed to create people like Tyler Robinson and all of those people. You know, they make assassins by telling people over and over again, your enemies are Nazis, right?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the assassin factory is right next to the pedophile playground at the bottom of what is it, Cosmic Pizza, whatever the Pizzagate place is. The assassin factory's in there too. Anyway, all right, moving into other news, big news over the weekend. By the way, I want to credit that Hakeem Jeffries meme to Donaldo Trumbo on X because it's a great one. But moving into the Kavanaugh assassin, remember back in 2022, speaking of the assassin factory, this guy was made in the pizza basement too. A guy tried to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, or stopped himself in the process. This was during the time of the Dobbs leak, that being the decision that overturned Roe v. Wade, of course. So in June 2022, this was Nicholas Roski, then Nicholas Roski. Now he has a new name. But he traveled from California, where he's from, took a taxi to Kavanaugh's Maryland home. He had planned to break into the home, to kill the justice, and then kill himself. He arrived at the home with a Glock 17 and a bunch of other supplies. U.S. Marshals became alerted to him. They were on the scene. Roski actually called police on himself anyway. But now Nicholas Roski is a woman, or claims to be. He now goes by the name Sophie Roski.
Congratulations, butthead.
And Sophie has now been sentenced to a light 8-year prison sentence, partly on the basis that he's a guy who pretends to be a woman, apparently. Roski was charged, initially fought the charges, pleaded guilty to them earlier this year. The charge was, it was just one charge actually, attempting to kill a justice of the United States. He faced up to 30 years in prison. However, on Friday, Judge Deborah Boardman, this is a Biden appointee, and she sentenced him to what his defense was seeking, or what his defense was arguing for, which is just 8 years, 97 months. Plus a lifetime of supervised release. So 2 total absurdities here. One, the pretending that this is, in fact, a woman who tried to assassinate Kavanaugh, of course. And 2, the silliness of this judge. But listen to this NBC News coverage yesterday. Now it's a woman who tried to kill Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
The woman who plotted to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh was sentenced to 8 years in prison on Friday. Sophie Roski was arrested near Kavanaugh's Washington home in June of 2022. That's after her attorney says she changed her mind in a taxi while on the way and called 911 to turn herself in. Roski spoke in court Friday, apologizing to Kavanaugh and saying she regretted her actions. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, now blasting the sentence, saying it's not long enough and promising an appeal.
That ain't no woman. It's a man.
Now here's the puzzle, Batman. I understand that if he says he's a woman, they're going to call him a woman. But Roski only recently transitioned into a woman, in his own mind. This is a 2025 development, according to the source cited in the Wikipedia page. So he was not a woman, a transgender woman, whatever you want to call it, when he plotted to kill Kavanaugh. So isn't it still the man who plotted to kill Kavanaugh insofar as he was a man, presenting as a man at the time?
It's Why fag. That's it.
That's the technical term.
It's the only way that you can address these people, right? You have to do it derogatively. I think actually I think the right way to.
Yeah, that's probably the right word. Derogatorily. That's a good one.
Anyway, these people can't. This is so. It's actually tough to get the words out because this is so retarded. It's actually difficult to address in any kind of rational way.
Well, let me help you out.
Watching these people go on.
If you're confused, just do what CNN did, like I said at the top of the show. Is it a man? Is it a woman? He was a man when he committed the crime. Now he's a woman at sentencing. How are we supposed to navigate this? It's just a person who admitted trying to kill Justice Kavanaugh. The person who admitted doing this has been sentenced to 8 years. So, CNN has just they've really nailed it here. They've avoided the controversy and they've said something that nobody can dispute. It was just a person, Batman.
But that person looks like a fag and his shit's all retarded. So what are you supposed to do about this kind of stuff? Like when these people legitimately think that this is an issue that requires them to change their language, change the way that they view everything. How do you expect these people to actually vote in such a way that will better our lives?
I know it's really the meme that like if you don't even know what a woman is, how are we supposed to trust you to make any judgment in any capacity? But it's actually true. I mean, when life's simplest truths become complicated matters for dissection for you, how could you possibly make sound judgment on very simple things, let alone the complexities of politics or the wisdom of philosophy, that sort of stuff? So
if you can't tell me what a woman is, I don't think you should be able to vote.
Simple test. I think that's fair.
Well, no, it is a defect of our system that these people can vote.
I certainly I'm sympathetic to the idea that voting should require qualification beyond what it currently does, for sure. Probably a conversation too long for right now, but yeah. If this is a complicated matter for you, that might be one of the qualifiers we should consider adding. But you also have this judge here, and the judge is the second part of this question. Like, why did this judge do this? Again, prosecutors had asked for a max sentence for Roski, 30 years. Judge Boardman says she considered mitigating factors, including Roski spontaneously confessing to police. That is, Roski kind of saved the day on himself, or despite himself, I guess is the idea. Boardman spoke for 2 hours explaining her sentence, saying that the actions that Roski's actions that day were a product of a mental health crisis and an improper mixture of medications. That's what we're going with. Now, I see a lot of people saying Boardman cited Roski's gender identity specifically as a mitigating factor. I didn't see that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just can't find the exact quote or the source on it. So that she did say, hey, this is a mentally ill person with a lot of medication problems. You know, that's closely related anyway, and that was considered to be a mitigating factor for some reason. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi says the sentence is not acceptable and she will appeal. Bondi tweeted that the Justice Department will be appealing this decision from this judge. And she says, quote, the Justice Department will be appealing the woefully insufficient sentence, which does not reflect the horrific facts of this case. Now, I don't know how successful that sort of appeal is historically, appealing a sentence. I'm going to speculate that it's a very low likelihood of success, in that as long as the sentence was within guidelines, it's the judge's discretion. The solution to this problem, of course, is the solution to the problem of judges overstepping their authority with regard to injunctions and other things. It is removal of judges from their office, from the bench, which is, of course, up to Congress. That's not going to happen either. But do you have any proposed solutions for the judge problem, Batman?
Yeah, the next time that somebody tries to assassinate a conservative, just fucking kill him.
If he was dealt with,
don't deal with the judges. Put them in the ground, and then you don't need to deal with this anymore.
First of all, I beg for Raj's mercy. But I suppose I'll take your point that there are alternative solutions to this particular problem.
To be clear, I mean that lawfully, defensively, all that jazz. Don't just go out and find people, all right?
He did confess and surrender, though. And
yes, he did.
So...
Yes, he did.
But if he busts into if he's threatening the house actively, I mean, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I'm on my way to kill a judge, and I'm really sorry about all of this. Just fucking shoot him.
If only I had the appropriate medication.
You're not helping anybody by putting him into the system.
You know who else is confused? Batman is Joe Exotic. Did you ever watch Tiger King on Netflix?
Can't get this fucking guy out of my... Yes, I'm aware of him.
I'm sorry to bring Joe Exotic into your life. Jeez, man. All right.
People wouldn't shut up about him like 5 years ago. So.
I saw the series. You know, I listened to the songs about Carole Baskin. But yeah, Joe Exotic, of course, was put in prison for the similar crime, similar conviction, supposedly plotting to kill Carole Baskin. He disputes it. He was convicted for it, though. Anyway, he had some other crimes involved with his case. But Joe Exotic of Tiger King fame is still in prison, sentenced to 20 years, not 8 years. So I guess if only Joe Exotic becomes a woman, although isn't he gay, Joe Exotic?
Well, he's not a leftist assassin.
He did run as a Democrat, though, in 2024 for president.
Yeah, but he didn't try to kill a conservative yet.
Oh, so he hasn't stepped up his game.
He didn't sick his tigers on
tiger assassination. Yeah.
He didn't sick his tigers on Trump or whatever. So he's being punished for his lack of ambition.
Yeah. Well, Joe Exotic Tiger King tweeted today, sad day in America when Carole Baskin is 3 times more valuable than a Supreme Court justice. Carole Baskin runs the entire world, confirmed. Got to be careful about asking the Carol question. You can get a lot of trouble for doing that. Okay, Sean is here. I got to get to Sean. So I'm going to head to a quick break, and I will catch you back at the top of the hour, Batman.
All righty. I'll be here.
All right. I will be right back.
Stand back and stand by.
My guest tonight is Sean Fitzgerald, actual justice warrior. Find his YouTube and X accounts linked in the description. Sean, welcome back. Thanks for making time.
Thank you for having me. I was listening a little bit to your Joe Exotic talk. He didn't do nothing wrong.
Do you? I watched the the documentary, whatever it's called on Netflix, as many did during the COVID era. And I don't remember the details of his alleged plot to kill Carol. When you say Joe didn't do nothing.
Listen, he probably did something. I'm totally kidding. Like they did a season 2 of that Tiger King thing, and they re-interviewed all the people that were in season 1, or a bunch of them, and they're like, yeah, the Netflix edited this to make it way more ambiguous than it was. And season 2 sucked, but like they had to do that. The guy was unhinged. Like, you should look at his YouTube videos if you have the chance, where somebody ran water too long and he puts a lock on her water, like somebody who has a trailer on his property. It's like, oh, what a great landlord. Like, you know, just like blatantly illegal shit that he was filming himself doing the whole time.
Yeah, I think reasonable minds have some question about the sanity of that man, but I don't know. Maybe he is a victim of Carol Baskin power, but of course, that's not why I brought you here. We're talking about the insanity of Portland, actually. So what do you know about what's going on in that city? I know there's been we've got attacks on journalists. There's finally been an arrest in Portland. It's just for a guy like trying to record video of it or something.
Right. So this is Nick Sorter. I didn't hear all of your setup because my internet glitched for a bit. But he's like a Twitter guy. They call him a journalist, but I've had people tell me do not refer to him as a journalist because apparently that's a little shaky ground. But needless to say, nobody in Portland has been arrested in these ICE riots since like June 18th. There was like a Fox News segment on it that I think the Trump administration was like really, that this was the thing that decided to make Portland the next city. And all of a sudden, we get an arrest, even though there's videos of these people punching random people in the area, not police officers, that are just sick of the noise, in the face. They're like checking old ladies for their ID to make sure they're not cops, so they're harassing people. But all of a sudden, of all the people to get arrested, it happens to be Nick Sorter, somebody who's not down with the protest. Now the police have power involved in this particular, protest.
Yeah. Do you know? So, as far as what led up to the arrest, I haven't looked a ton into it. I know he was recording these protesters. There's also a video of him intervening with someone burning an American flag.
Right.
We got a Trump supporter. We got a Trump supporter right here.
Oh, he's putting it on the ground and he's making it worse. And now he's standing on it. Now he's standing on it. You're not supposed to stand on it. Oh, now he thinks he's saving it.
So that led to some conflict. There's an official explanation from Bill Malugin, but it sounds like these guys were trying to record video and they just started attacking him. He defends himself and Portland police come after him for that.
Right. They charged him with like second-degree disorderly conduct. So like, I guess, they're saying that he caused this to happen. I would like to see like full footage of what actually led to him being arrested. I mean, considering everybody's filming, that shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, it's kind of insane that like in the Fox News segment, they have videos of these Antifa types punching people in the face. And there's no arrest for like an obvious assault. And there was a lawsuit from the neighbors in the area about the noise ordinance not being enforced. And during the course of that lawsuit, they get discovery from the police, like internal communications. And essentially they were told like any arrest that they make in this like 4-block area that the protesters seem to occupy would be interpreted as violating their sanctuary law because it's helping ICE. Because like that's the way it's allegedly written, that it's so broad you can't make normal arrests. So all of that has been going on in the backdrop. And this is why Trump wanted to deploy the National Guard there. And no arrests, but suddenly Nick gets arrested for getting into some kind of an altercation. And he's the only one arrested by the Portland PD. Like, it's very suspicious.
Yeah, that claim about the application of the sanctuary law I hadn't heard before. And I want to talk a little bit more about the National Guard deployment in a minute too. But I know that the neighbors, famously, there was that large woman with the cane who went out there and started yelling at them, the rioters, because they were making so much noise and they're not allowing people to sleep. I assume maybe she had something to do with that lawsuit. I think she announced that she was.
It was the people in the area, but like I did see that one. That's like the large black woman that was yelling at them, and then there's other older people. Apparently, there's like just old people who live near this this building, and
people
they
who would like to
joined
sleep
together.
at night. Yeah.
Sorry, say again?
People who would like to sleep at night. You know,
Yes,
real
but like a
weirdos.
lot of them they're disproportionately elderly. That's why one of them was in a wheelchair, and I was kind of laughing because I'm like, at a certain point, if you're Antifa, like you have to be messing with these people just for fun, just to see what you can get away with. Because she says as she's rolling in her wheelchair, they stop her, demand her ID to make sure she's not a cop.
They
It's like-
verify they have their own borders that they enforce.
Yeah, exactly.
At this
Like,
protest site. Okay.
The anti-fascists are saying papers please in and around
Correct.
the Portland area. But yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not technically an official declaration from the police that like the reason they're not enforcing the sound ordinance is because of this sanctuary law, but it was in their communications in discovery of the lawsuit, which by the way, the neighbors lost the lawsuit. Like they
I didn't
can't
know that
force
either.
them to enforce it. And the police did this thing where they pinned it on another agency, and then the media report, there was like a local news media report where they contacted that other agency that supposedly is supposed to enforce the sound ordinance, and they're like, we're not, it's actually another agency. So they're all playing hot potato too. So it's a
Of
total
course.
mess. And like, you know, I live in New York City. A lot of people live in like major left-wing cities. If you are playing music too loud, having a barbecue, or like I've had the police called for situations like that. So in these major left-wing cities, they will bust you up for like the pettiest things. But all of a sudden, this 4-block radius, totally lawless. And then all of a sudden, on top of that, Nick is the only one who gets arrested.
Yeah, that you wonder what the limitations to that reasoning are, assuming it's true. And it is an explanation for why they haven't been enforcing the noise ordinance and allowing these people just to annoy this neighborhood. Annoy is the kindest word possible. Of course, this has been violent riots for a long time, but it would also theoretically, like if someone straight up murdered an ICE agent in Portland, would the prosecution of that murderer be seen as in the assistance of ICE and therefore a violation of Oregon's sanctuary law? I know I'm taking that to the furthest possible extent, but if you grant A, doesn't it kind of lead to B?
I would think like presumably no, but considering in the Fox News segment, you quite literally see somebody get punched in the face and they are like already assaulted, like a minor assault that maybe you're like, okay, I can understand the police in judgment letting it go, but it's like a full haymaker, like of this person, getting punched in the face. And again, there's video of it and there was not an arrest there. And like, you know, there's the claim that she instigated it by like being there, which is absurd because you're allowed, like if they're allowed to be there to blast these sound like weapons or whatever, maybe weapons too strong. Like how come a regular person can't be there to ask them about it, or not even to ask them about it, just be there?
I do have that clip of Katie Daviscourt, who's a post-millennial reporter, and I don't know what. Obviously, she gets hit by something. Like the person who hits her is carrying a flag. I don't know if it's the flag pole, if it's a punch, but she clearly gets hit by this rioter.
Don't hit. Oh, fuck! She just hit me in the face. Katie was at the January 6th riot. Oh my God! Katie was at the January 6th riot. She just hit me in the face.
Then they're attacking her security or whoever this guy associated with her is.
They're very large, thick people.
Now, of course, she committed the crime of being at the January 6th riot. I don't know if that's true, but I'll take their word for it. What are we watching?
I just want to point
here?
out, this is not the video I was talking about. The woman who was punched in the face was on the Fox News thing, and that was a clean punch. I've actually never seen. I've heard of this woman getting hit. I didn't know there was video of it.
So we have 7. Do you know what? Okay, so that woman was punched. Do you know who she is or what her role? Was she just
I think
there,
it was
or
just
she...
random. It was like a segment that they did about the neighborhood, about the neighbors being angry related to this. So I thought that was a random. But then I see this woman with a black eye, but they don't interview the woman who gets hit because a lot of the neighbors don't want to be on camera. Like, you know, whenever they're interviewed, it's like, you know, they hide their faces. So that's a separate woman that got hit. And it's much more obvious than this, where the bump is like off camera or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that this woman is lying. I'm just saying it was like a clean punch to the face.
Yeah.
Like, and again, it's Portland's in a weird situation. We were talking about this like earlier off air, like over text, where the mayor is the police commissioner. Like when you elect a mayor, they become the police commissioner. So I was talking about this in terms of like Mamdani maybe winning in New York City, where he could like technically nominate like a real cop to be the police commissioner, and then that real cop could do real policing, and that will mitigate like, you know, some of the problems. And then obviously if he starts enforcing the law too good, then Mamdani could fire him or whatever, right? Because you have like another person to shift blame to.
Yeah.
But in Portland, you can't do that. You elect a woke, idiotic mayor, and like he has to respond to the voters. There's no separation. And in these particular cases, that's why we saw back in the 2020 days, there's no law enforcement against left-wing agitators because it's a city of left-wing agitators.
Did you hear the police chief recently trying to explain away what's been going on at the ICE facility there, saying, well, it's really just, it's like a block in a big city of 150 square miles or something. Here was his commentary. Now, in fairness to the chief, I believe this commentary is before the arrest of Nick Sotor and the hitting of Katie Davis Court, perhaps the punching that you were talking about. But this is, I think he offered this commentary on September 30th, if I have my dates correct. But here's what he had to say.
Is there a myth or a misconception since this news broke that you're like, oh, I just wish people understood this?
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, and it's been highlighted so many times so well, but I just want to emphasize, this is one city block. City of Portland's about 145 square miles. This is one city block. And even the events that are happening down there do not rise to the level of attention that they are receiving. These, 30-second, 20-second, 15-second clips that are brought in from months ago or maybe even years ago. We've seen Portland portrayed through the events of the lens of 20 and 21. And what's actually happening in the response that we're seeing both from Portlanders and from the Portland Police Bureau is not in line with that national narrative.
Yeah.
So
this is one of my favorite talking points. Like we see this in LA. I actually heard this about Portland during the Black Lives Matter riots, where it was like declared a riot 100 straight days, where they're like, the city's really big. Like, so you guys keep focusing on the riots and where the riots are happening, but think about all the areas where the riots aren't happening. Like, why aren't you doing news stories about that? And it's because that's not news. This is like talking about the other skyscrapers in New York City on 9/11 or being like, well, like none of the skyscrapers were hit by planes in Chicago on 9/11. It's like, the World Trade Center complex is like one complex in the financial area of New York City. Like the Empire State Building and its related buildings were totally fine. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah. If there's one murder in a city in which there is no other crime for the rest of the year, that is still significant and needs to be brought to justice. It's like, imagine if like that lady who got set on fire in the subway, that famous story, but like, a subway's like 10 carts. So in 90% of that subway ride, it was really safe on that subway. So like, I don't know why we're even talking about it. Like, this is like, my friend Devin Tracy has a thing about this. He's like, anytime somebody points out a problem, like he calls this, it's one of the planks of his regressive agenda. They point to a non-problem. And then they're like, look at the non-problem. Why aren't you talking about that? And it's like, yeah, we're covering the story. Like this block is what's happening. And they did the same thing with the federal courthouse in Portland, like 5 years ago now. Yeah, well, and when he says, on social media, I just see clips circulating from 2020 or 2021. Well, maybe you do. That was also pretty bad, But for him to say that, and then these episodes of violence or what appear to be ridiculously selective police enforcement to come out within days after that statement, okay, what do you say about these clips that absolutely are not from 5 years ago?
And look, like, to be the fairest person in America, obviously Twitter is like awash with outdated clips for engagement bait, but like, enough of them aren't. Like, they've declared like a disturbance in this area for like 80 days straight. Like, there's enough things that are happening that are real that like they're monitoring the situation. They've been sued over it. They've had to defend themselves. Like, there's a whole thing going on right now. So yeah, like there is some old stuff that like it's bad to do that, to mislabel videos. But, like if you're a giant left-wing YouTuber, you can tell us about how Portland's safe while showing us videos of Chicago, like Kyle Kalinske did earlier this week. Like that's apparently fine.
Wait, was that a mistake? Or was that an intentional distraction in the way that you were describing?
I don't know. He just did it. He did it to debunk the National Guard. He was saying that Trump was saying the National Guard could kill people in Portland. Then he was showing us videos of Chicago, telling us about how they were nonviolent. But even the videos in Chicago were violent. So it was like the most insane, inception of leftist, idiocy I've seen in a long time.
Speaking of killing people, I know it's 4 years ago, 5 years ago, so maybe it's not relevant, Mr. Portland Police Chief, but I do remember when the riots were not properly contained and an Antifa guy straight up murdered a Patriot Prayer guy on the streets of Portland and then fled to Washington and got a Vice interview for his troubles before police killed him.
Yeah, so Michael Forrest Reinhold, I remember that.
Yeah, so we want to warn about lethal danger. We're watching that fester, it would seem, continuously here. But did you hear that the DOJ is now threatening to get involved with Portland Police Department?
Yeah. I mean, they should. This is there is a problem there. And we have under the Democratic regimes, all these different consent decrees and issues with bias enforcement. And what we're looking at, again, if there's not an arrest, at least at the time of that Fox News segment, which was in September before the National Guard was deployed, if there's not been an arrest and there's all these instances of violations of the law since June 18th of any of the lefties, right-wing people show up to cover the National Guard being there and they're immediately arrested, all of a sudden the Portland police exist. Something's going on.
We'll see if we get any more involvement from the DOJ on the supposed basis that there are, well, I don't say supposed, I think it's correct that there are probably civil rights violations going on in Portland as a matter of law. But so far, we've just got the strongly worded letter coming from Harmeet Dillon at the Civil Rights Office at the DOJ. Maybe we'll get something more than a strongly worded letter, but they have until October 10th, the city of Portland does, to respond. But you mentioned the National Guard, and we have something developing there that legally that's very interesting too, because Trump had announced he was going to deploy the Oregon National Guard, federalize them and deploy some of them to this ICE facility in Portland to protect ICE agents and other federal officers. Then a judge intervened this week and said you can't do that, district court judge in Oregon. Now, at least according to Gavin Newsom, Trump is federalizing National Guard from California to put them in there. So I guess the judge's authority is over the federal district in Oregon only. And so Trump is moving outside of there and federalizing National Guard to move into Portland anyway. At least that's what the plan supposedly is.
Right. And there could be, it probably is to get around the court, but it also could be deploying guard from another state is under another statute that could be utilized better. He has a better legal argument on there because it's supposed to be for emergency situations. And presumably the governor could deploy their own state guard in certain emergency situations. So you end up in a dispute of whether or not that's the case. But if you need from another state, obviously the governor couldn't do that, of Oregon anyway. So maybe there's some I don't know the specifics of this, but I'm assuming there might be some kind of legal, Trump's legal team might have given him this idea. And he chose California for obvious reasons because, Gavin Newsom.
There might be some boundary testing here, but you raised an interesting point, which is if Oregon is going to retain the control of the National Guard in this context, let's say that Trump does physically deploy members of the California Guard to this ICE facility. Could the governor of Oregon still deploy the Guard to, I don't know what they would do. Were you going to order guard on guard warfare or something? But is it possible that the Oregon Guard is deployed by the governor and the California Guard is deployed by Trump? I don't know if that's even possible, but theoretically under these circumstances, I would think it might be.
I guess it could be, but it would be potentially a disaster if they start shooting at each other, obviously. Then you get your large moment of civil war. But considering they don't do law enforcement stuff, they're really more of a deterrent. The National Guard, even in DC, they're marching around and they're and it's reducing crime, but it's the deterrent effect. If you surge patrols of officers, you'll get a similar effect as presumably when you do this. So they're trying to secure the federal building, which is what they were trying to do in the courthouse 5 years ago.
Yep.
So if the Oregon governor deployed the National Guard against the California one, a lot of them would be kind of standing around because they don't have domestic law enforcement ability.
Of course, I remember that. Where was it? Was it in Southern California where Trump previously deployed the Guard? Was it in L.A.? But do you remember Maxine Waters kind of yelling and taunting members of the Guard? What are you doing here? Are you going to shoot me? Saying stuff like that.
I remember that, and I also remember people saying, "Guys, there's not riots happening everywhere in Los Angeles. It's only in these specific areas."
But to your point, the guard with Maxine Waters, they looked so bored because they weren't actually doing anything. And I thought, my God, the restraint not to forcibly shut Maxine Waters up. These people are saints. God bless them.
Yeah. And look, it is a good thing that, like, you know, like the president has the most leeway with the guard in DC. Like, obviously, DC is under the Congress's jurisdiction. It's a federal territory. You have the Home Rule Act. So, like, there is boundary testing here. Like, make no mistake about it. And I'm not sure I want the president to, like, on a whim, be able to deploy the guard in any situation, like, for domestic law enforcement. But this is like a federal building that the police are deliberately not protecting. So it would seem like this would be the most sensible time to do it, and like the most sensible like region to be able to do it. If they start marching through Portland and enforcing regular laws, I mean, the people of Portland might like start having heart attacks because they haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, they wouldn't know what to do with it. To your point, I would oppose that too on principle. Insofar as they're there to protect valid federal law enforcement, which is under attack from crazy people in Portland, and you have a Portland police force that seems indifferent to it or maybe even likes it, someone has to protect that valid federal law enforcement. As long as they're appropriately limited and they're not just going and busting up people they don't like for whatever reason they want, then yeah, I think it's perfectly appropriate. But I certainly take your point on the appropriate limitations of federal police power here.
Yeah, and look, we could end up in a kind of disastrous situation where, you know, because, you know, Oregon's guard could be federalized in certain circumstances. It's just the judge blocked it now. But like, it's not like Texas. Texas has its own state guard separate from the National Guard. So if like the Oregon governor like does something stupid and deploys the guard against like, this could end up being like an absolute disaster that's all based on the fact that the Portland police can't do their job. And I don't think the Portland police don't want to do their job. I just think they're actually being limited from doing so. So it's like this could spiral out of control into an incident. And not to mention, you could end up in a situation where another like leftist, like, you know, in Dallas ends up targeting a facility. And then like the weird consequences of a California National Guardsman being a casualty in that kind of situation, like, it's going to be it would be a crazy moment for the country. So like, I get it. Take Gavin Newsom's National Guard, you know, as a big FU to him. But like, things are getting a little crazy in America right now.
Before I let you go, I want you to catch me up on what is going on with the ghost students in Baltimore. Apparently, Maryland taxpayers paying for ghost people who don't actually go to the school.
Yeah, so like if you're a fan of The Wire, there's actually an episode on this, and I joke about this in my video where in The Wire they have this this attendance day, which by the way I think is the same across the country. It's September 30th this year, where they count students for the purposes of funding both state, local, and federal. And in Baltimore, as depicted in The Wire, the police and everybody kind of joins together to basically get these kids into the school so that they'll be counted. And this is like the whole state of Maryland count from September 30th. But of course, in disproportionately places like Baltimore, a bunch of these kids stopped going to school immediately after that. They were never in school before that. And the federal funding plus the state funding and the local funding is allocated based on the lie, the September 30th count day. But what's interesting about Baltimore's current situation / Maryland is that they're now using a new category for like the missing children, which is like they don't know where they are. They've been disenrolled because like the school has no clue where they've disappeared.
Whereabouts unknown.
Yeah, and it's like 11,000 of them. It's been going up. Like it used to be in 2019 around 6,100. In 2020, I think they didn't count because of COVID, and then it's just been going up. And now we're at the point of like 11,000 students that they're getting funding allocated to them from the local government, from the state that, by the way, had a massive budget deficit, recently did crazy property tax reassessments because they do it every 3 years in order to close the deficit. But like they're blowing a hole in their education budget each and every year. And like next year, they're projected to lose $219 million based on this category. This year, it's like $170 million. And considering this is a scam so well known that it was featured in The Wire, which aired from like 2002 to 2007, you would think there would be a solve for it. And there is. They proposed the law at the state state that said they'll do the count days 4 days, and you'll use like an average of that count to allocate funding so you get a better number. But the teachers union is fighting it. So it's like, this is where we're at in Baltimore.
I don't doubt that there are this could be exclusively a scam. Like, this could all be made up just to fleece the taxpayer in Maryland. What percentage, if any, do you think is the real disappearance of kids from the school district in Baltimore? That is to say, Baltimore is rough, I've heard. And I certainly think it's possible that there are dropout. To your point, the reason for the dropout is listed. So if you dropped out for a normal reason, that's usually
teen pregnancy. For. Well, this is disenrollment. So dropouts are listed. So the total of kids that are counted on September 30th that are gone by the end of the school year are like 14 to 15,000. But like 11,000, they're disenrolled because the school has no clue where they are. And like, immediately Baltimore, we think homicide because, it's usually the highest homicide city. But like, that's like 300 people in a normal year. It's actually gone down recently due to the new prosecutor, like thankfully for Ivan Bates. Great job. But like, that does not explain, even though it skews disproportionately young homicides, that doesn't explain 11,000. It doesn't explain why more and more are going missing each and every year. And considering we always calculate like the per pupil spending in the public education system as like the number to tell how like where it ranks statewide, Baltimore's at like 21,000 as a school district. But if they have all these missing kids that should be there, this is the largest school district in the state. And the actual per pupil spending for this piss poor education is so much higher than we think. And it's like, where is that money going? Like, these are classrooms full of students that are just gone. Like, this is why I call them ghost students, because they're there on count day and then they're completely gone, whereabouts unknown.
They probably get paid by the money that the district collects. They hire them off the street. They go and get bums. Listen, we'll pay you like $100 to show up for count day. Just come on.
I mean, if you watch The Wire, they quite literally yank the kids from the corners that are dealing drugs and like put them in the school to count them, knowing they won't show up. Like, this is and by the way, Baltimore, the reason it's so amazing is because there's literally an HBO series based on Baltimore, but this count day happens everywhere and every school does this to a certain degree, but it's just so unusual that the dropout reason or rationale or disenrollment is whereabouts unknown. It's like, you didn't have an address for these kids when they enrolled. Like, think about all the things that you gave to the school when you enrolled in a school, unless you were homeschooled.
Yeah, you would think if someone's disappearance would be referred to a social worker or something. And to your point, there just might not be any place to send them. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, exactly. Like, where, like, how do you look, the obvious answer to this, like, obviously, is they don't care. And like, it was about getting that extra $220 million into the hands of the teachers union. Like, that's the real reason for this. But like, there's not missing persons reports that are going up every year. Like, Baltimore, again, under Ivan Bates, crime is going down. Like, he's doing a good job. He's prosecuting repeat offenders. He's prosecuting people who commit armed robberies repeatedly because he's like, oh, if you commit all these crimes with guns, eventually you'll kill someone. So this is the way I'm going to go after the homicide rate. Like, so they're doing good things in a lot of categories. But like, now they're saying there's so many more missing kids. It's insane.
Well, that's my guest, Sean Fitzgerald, actual justice warrior. Find Sean on YouTube and X, linked in the description. Sean, is there anything else you'd like to promote?
No, but thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, thanks for stopping by. Catch you again soon.
Bye.
All right, I will be right back.
Stand back and stand by.
Thanks again to my guest, Sean Fitzgerald, actual justice warrior. Find Sean on YouTube and X linked in the description. Welcome back, Batman.
Thank you very much. I'm a big fan of Sean's channel, so y'all should follow him on, preferably on Rumble, but
I'll see if I can get you a date. We'll see if it works out.
Oh, shut up.
All right, we got to catch up with Superchat.
He and I are no fags, even though we're from New York.
That's right, you share that, huh? Sean is, he's in New York City proper, so he's really in it.
Yeah, I don't envy his position.
Have you ever lived in New York City proper?
No, I never lived in the city, but I have been there many times. It's, there are parts of it that are wonderful, that are beautiful, that are really, no, I mean, for real. There are parts of it where if you go there, you see sort of what civilization has to offer. But then you have to come to terms with the fact that there are people who are ruining it actively in front of us. And that city is no longer a place, that state is no longer a place where I want to raise my daughter, And
that city certainly could get a lot worse with you have to pray for Andrew Cuomo sanity for that city. That's what we're headed toward. So anyway, heading over to Superchat here. Over on YouTube, I will accept food. Thanks for supporting the show, and I hope you get your food. Oh no, he's back. I shouldn't say oh no. Thank you for supporting the show, newbie of Death Reviews, but he always mentions the unusable sounder. If you read this,
you are gay, LMAO.
It's a I know you have a lot of, or at least last time we spoke, you had a lot of lingering Charlie Kirk rage. Justifiably so. Any reasonable person would. Have you opined on the ethics of using that sounder from the soundboard?
That sounder?
This one.
Why are you gay?
Oh, not that one. Sorry.
You are gay, LMAO.
Do you know the context of that?
I don't.
That is from the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox's press conference describing what was engraved on Tyler Robinson's ammunition.
You are gay, LMAO.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember now.
Legendary piece of audio, horrible context. And so, but
no,
newbie of Death
I don't have a
always...
problem. I don't have any problem with the sounder or anything like that. I do think that at this point, as I said earlier, we need to stop allowing ourselves to be targets. And when we are the victims of violence, we need to respond with lethal force. It's something that we as conservatives have not been doing for the last 20 years. And it's part of the reason why we're being targeted now, because they see us as easy targets, because they see us as people who will just bend over and take it,
Not an appropriate fear of consequences, certainly, to your point.
Yes, that's what I mean. So, I know that there are plenty of people in this crowd who are not fans of Steven Crowder, but he has basically also come to the conclusion that we need to respond to all of these things with overwhelming, lawful defensive violence. That's the way that he puts it. I think he put it correctly.
Well, and he's back on college campuses too. I saw the change my mind bit,
and I think that's pretty fucking ballsy.
Good for him. I appreciate people who are willing to go and do that. So, and Godspeed. Obviously we don't want any kind of event like this one happening again. Thank you, newbie of Death Review. Appreciate your support for the show. I will accept food, actually says David French, former First Amendment attorney, is speaking at my law school at the end of the month. Since 2020, he has been both sidesisming the political violence, and he's been...
That's a good way to put it.
Both. It's a difficult one. Both sidesisming. Also screeching about January 6th. Can you help me with some tough questions for him? Well, I know David French has a reputation for that. I'm not extremely familiar with his work, so without looking at that, it'd be hard for me to say, definitely ask him this or definitely say that. I'd have to look at some of the things he's said, but I would
Ask
actually
him for a body count.
Without knowing him personally and what he's said specifically, I think it's perfectly fair. The thing I would ask, and I think is a good thing to do whenever you're asking someone a challenging question, which you should, that includes me on this show or anybody else, but just give him the opportunity to say, I've changed my mind. You know, you said this back then. You thought this back then. What do you think now? Whenever people challenge me, I really appreciate that, because when you're coming at someone hot, it's fine to try to hold people accountable for the things they've said, but oftentimes there's an assumption that something they said 3, 4, 5 years ago, they agree with in full today. And I know for me and for a lot of people, that's not necessarily true. I don't know if David French, you might say he's worth the courtesy or he's not, but anybody you want to challenge in that way, I think that's the fairest way to phrase it, is just, do you think that now? And if so, why?
Yeah, and remember that people's minds can change. I want to give you an example. Not too long ago, I would have called myself a free speech absolutist. I'm questioning that now. I don't know if I feel that way anymore, because we are watching people actively use our free speech tolerances, shall we say, to create assassins, to create monsters. And I'm not sure how I feel about that now. I'm still processing that.
No, we've talked about that a little bit.
Am I? Yeah, no, we did.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. So people know where I stand on the issue. I'm not going to get into a long discussion about that, but I get it. Yeah, I understand. I would refer. This came up on Wednesday too. I would refer to the John Adams quote that our Constitution is meant for a moral and religious people. Now, I think there's moral truth to the principle or the concept of free speech beyond just what our Constitution says. Our Constitution recognizes a truth. It doesn't create a truth. However, the idea of freedom, the idea of liberty, depends largely on a population, a group of people who understand, recognize, or at least seek moral truth. And we are in a state of great moral confusion right now.
Yes. Are you familiar with the nation of Liberia?
Yes. This is from what I understand, this is the African nation that largely copied the U.S. system of government, and my sources say it has not worked out great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because our system of government doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't work for people who don't have the values that make our system work.
Yeah, I guess my solution would be, let's not change that. Let's renew our commitment to being a moral and religious people. But easier said than done. And
well,
anyway,
first of all, we can renew our values all we want. It doesn't change the people who have become, Marxists and all that other stuff. Right.
Okay, so
they're never going to renew those values. They don't value them in the first place.
We satisfy Batman's bloodlust for a civil war, then we go back to Constitution 2.
I don't want a civil war. I just don't want them to vote.
Okay, fine, whatever it takes. We open up the purge for like a little bit, and then we go back to the way it should be. All right. Esoterica Unbound. Congress needs to pass a law stating that federal workers will absolutely not be paid for any hours of work missed due to shutdown furlough. If they did, this BS would end overnight. I hope so. I understand what you're saying. That is to say, like, if there was a bunch of pressure from federal workers, or if Congress actually felt like they had some responsibility for federal workers, it might get them to stop this sort of thing. I don't know, though. Do you think that would change congressional behavior? I'm not sure that it would, because I don't think these people actually give a rat's ass about most people.
I don't think they give a fuck about the people underneath them. I think they're there to virtue signal.
But yeah, any way we can apply more accountability to Congress, I think, is a worthwhile consideration. That's what Sarah Unbound. Thank you. Joshy boy, Roski was in danger of being someone's girlfriend, quote unquote, in male prison. That's why he presumably transitioned at the last minute. Maybe. And I'm sure Pam has the appeal on her desk along with the Epstein files. I'm sure it's somewhere around there. She'll get around to it eventually.
Do you ever see
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Sorry, what?
Do you ever see the show Burn Notice?
No, I don't know that one.
In the 7th season, there's a wonderful little bit where they're convincing the main characters are convincing a criminal to turn on his criminal syndicate. And they show him all this evidence that they have against him, and they go, you better you better appreciate the time that you have around all these pretty girls, because in prison you're the pretty girl.
That's a good line.
That's just where
maybe that's what he's thinking.
Where that thought took me.
Esoteric Unbound adds, that should have been hours of work missed due to shutdown. Fatigue and autocorrect are a demonic combination. I understand what you meant. Thanks for supporting the show. Planet Alumni. Actual Justice Warrior here. Glad the channel steered away from LSM. I don't know what LSM is. And Jew hate. Might stay and watch the show again. Well, whatever keeps you here, man. Appreciate you coming by and supporting the show. I don't know what LSM is, though. Or is it ism? Anyway, thank you, Planet Almoni. That's a tough one. That's one of the tougher names to pronounce. Okay, over on Rumble, Elbot, thank you for supporting the show, as always.
I am not going to be niggardly.
Yakko, 1977, I'm not concerned about government shutdown. It's good for people to just see how little they do and how little we really need them. Also, taxes should be nullified during a shutdown, never paid back. Now, I don't know if the IRS is actually actively auditing, actively processing. I don't know what's going on at the IRS during this period, but yeah. There are certainly benefits to the shutdown that we were talking about earlier, and I hope that those who see government as God realize that when you turn God off in this context, life stays mostly the same. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that lesson can. Speaking of returning our society to a population of a moral and religious people, we'll see how long it takes for people to wake up to that sort of thing. Dangerous Spaces, friendly producer, says, my team won the championship game last night. Congratulations. 2 of our best players got injured, so players had to play out of their normal roles. We held on to win our version of one unconverted touchdown. I don't know what that means. That's a reference to American football, but it's Aussie craziness. Dangerous Spaces also says it's one city block, so you're telling us it's small enough you should be able to stop it, no problem. Seriously, am I missing something? He is maybe unintentionally saying it could be fixed. Yeah, it certainly could be.
Bingo.
But I guess he's trying to minimize the problem. It's not even worth correcting. Anyway, over on Odyssey, and then we'll get back into the news. Let's see. I guess the Steven Crowder memes have returned. Change My Mind memes are back. He's got memes. Blankets has memes about boycotting Netflix. Everybody's, I have a very difficult moral relationship with Netflix, Batman. On the one hand, there's some quality trash TV that my family life, and my time with my wife, we find enjoyment in the trash TV. However, it is getting hard to justify any association with Netflix given the degree to which they push all sorts of nonsense on children. And that's the thing that's got them in controversy right now.
Cuties came out years ago, right?
Yeah, I know. I fully acknowledge that it's this in the NFL.
Paying them?
It's this. The shows are. I know it's wrong. I can't tell you.
They're child pornographers. You can't pay them.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's the same way with the NFL too. Like, why do I support that product?
Well,
with
Netflix
cuties,
in particular. I mean, at least the NFL has never broadcasted child pornography.
Well,
Netflix has.
Straight
up, the moment that shit
talking
came
about,
out, I canceled my subscription.
It is. To your point, it is as close as it could possibly. I'm not sure if it meets the legal definition because there wasn't nudity associated, right? This was just this was like a sexualized display of kids, but it was not nudity, right? Just I want to be clear on the terms. Not that I'm defending them or saying like, oh, that makes it okay.
Look, I'm not gonna. I didn't watch it, right? I just saw what was. I saw enough. Let's put it that way. I didn't watch the movie. But the moment that came out, I was like, okay, all right, this company I can no longer in good conscience support this company.
You're an honorable man.
And I liked Netflix. They made a whole bunch of shit that I loved. I mean, they were responsible for the Daredevil show, right? I love that.
You are a moral and religious person for whom our Constitution is made. I don't have an excuse. And you're right to call me out. And anybody listening in the audience saying, yeah, he's right. No, you are. You are right.
Bingo.
I don't have a good explanation for why, other than my wife and I enjoy trash TV together. And Netflix has been a great source of trash TV for a long time.
Netflix is a wonderful source of trash TV, and so is Pirate Bay.
Those were the, speaking of confessing to all my moral failures, I have used Pirate Bay before too. Please have mercy on me, FBI. But okay, we need, since this has developed into complex areas of moral philosophy.
Yeah,
what are the ethics?
We brought this on too long, didn't we?
Of stealing the trash TV from, which I would never do. All right. Anyway. Thank you for that, Blankets. You prompted some interesting considerations here. Also says, Matt, do you have a favorite and least favorite Halloween candy? Well, in the world of candy, there are Snickers bars and there's everything else. That's pretty much it. I know that some people like exotic, rare things, but Snickers is the greatest candy ever created or ever will be created.
I mean, there's Skittles too. Come on.
That's fine. I'm not hating on other candies. It's just there's one GOAT. There's one top tier candy, and that's Snickers.
I can't fight you on that. It's up there.
All right. Well, at least I won something. I may not have won the Netflix debate, but I won the candy one. Okay. Anyway.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
Let's get back into the news. What do we have next? I can't even remember. Oh, yeah. Other episodes of talking about devolving into just an insane world no longer capable of being redeemed. Another episode of the criminal justice system being very lenient, releasing a very dangerous person back out onto the streets. Now, I'd never heard of this case before, but it's in the news upon this criminal's release this week. In 2015, Ronald Exantis murdered a 6-year-old boy, Logan Tipton, during a home invasion outside of Lexington, Kentucky. Now, my understanding as far as how this case developed, this guy just randomly entered a home, had no personal connection to these people, seemingly was unaware of the property they had or didn't have, so it wasn't like a targeted robbery. This guy, as we'll learn, is apparently just crazy in a medical sense and invaded this home, grabbed a butcher knife from the kitchen, and just started stabbing people. And he stabbed one of the people, the one person he killed in the family was a 6-year-old boy, Logan Tipton. He also stabbed Logan's then 12-year-old sister. She watched the murder of her brother. He was stabbed in the head. The father of the household, his name is Dean Tipton. We'll hear from him in a moment. He confronted the killer and was stabbed and thrown aside himself. The killer, I don't know how this all developed, but eventually police showed up while the killer was still there. He was arrested at the scene. Again, this was a random thing. There was no personal connection here. It was not some sort of plotted, targeted episode of crime and violence. But this attacker, Exantis, was sentenced to 20 years in prison, which itself seems insanely light for the murder of a child during a home invasion. If you're thinking that 20 years in prison for a dead 6-year-old boy killed by stabbing, how does that work out? It's because there are some legal complexities in this case, which I'll get to in a moment. If that doesn't make sense, that's why. However, due to good behavior, educational credits, and time served, Exantis is now out on parole. He was released in Kentucky on October 1st, so that was Wednesday. Here is some news reporting where Dad says, hey, if I ever see that guy walking around again in the wild, I am just going to kill him.
He stood up with me on top of him. Just stood up and threw me 10, 15 feet across the room and went after her.
Dean Tipton says December 7th, 2015 is a night that changed his life. He says his children woke him up. He then found a man attacking his children.
And when I got to the top of the stairs, he attacked me. He come at me with the knife.
The night took a tragic turn with the loss of a life, his 6-year-old son, Logan. Dean says immediately after Logan's death, he lost his will to live.
I laid in bed. I gave up. I gave up on life. I gave up on my family. I gave up on everybody. I just wanted to die.
In the years since, the family has done their best to cope, but mentions they are mentally and emotionally scarred. and they are hurt that Ronald DeSantis will no longer be behind bars.
Everybody deserves a fighting chance to have justice for them, and it's not.
I've had my talks with God, because I'm not afraid to tell you all. I told the court, if I ever cross paths with him, I will kill the man. I will kill him where he stands.
Is there a jury in the world that would convict him if he did? It's like that father of that kid who was sexually abused. The famous clip
Gary
of the dude.
Plauché you were thinking about.
I knew you would know the name right off the top of your head. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it shows you how far our culture has devolved, that Gary Plauché was only, what, 40 years ago?
80s? I can't remember when that happened.
It was 1982, I think. Somewhere around there. I don't remember the exact year, but it was in the 80s. And he killed his son's rapist and kidnapper on camera, on national television, in front of a whole bunch of cops, and the cops just went, "Why, Gary, why?"
That's right.
And then did nothing.
No, I didn't forget about the incident, but the commentary. Yeah. I thought that they brought charges against him, but the jury, was he never charged, or the prosecutor just said fair enough?
They tried to charge him, and basically he was let off with I think no jail time, some community service, and some probation. So it shows you something, that our society has devolved so quickly that now I think if this man were to find his child's murderer and were to put him where he fucking belongs, he would be charged and he would spend the rest of his life in prison.
So you're answering my question. You think that that he would be convicted for such a thing, and he would?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, I can't say you're wrong. I wonder how it would play out in Kentucky. I would think Kentucky would be a little more reasonable about such things. But hey, we're in Kentucky, and the legal system in Kentucky is exactly what we're watching right here. So maybe not. Now,
Kentuckians are absolutely. I would love to hear them prove me wrong.
Well, it sounds unlikely that we're going to get any kind of confrontation between the father, Dean Tipton in this case, and the killer, Ronald DeSantis. It's not specifically known where DeSantis is, but reports say he went to Florida. There's some kind of agreement between Kentucky and Florida that you can go serve out your supervised release in Florida if you wish. And so he's somewhere in the state of Florida. He's not in...
Those two states do work well together, or they work closely together, rather.
Now, I assume that the Tipton family is still in that area of Kentucky. I also don't know that, but odds are they're not in the same town anymore. So you're probably not going to get a spontaneous encounter. But of course, if Dad decides to make a day trip, such a thing would be possible.
Well,
now,
if in the event that there is some crazy Everglades Floridian who decides, "Oh, I found this guy and I'm going to feed him into a wood chipper," nobody's going to. No, I don't think
Alligator Alcatraz is already set up. You could feed him there. I guess it's not either
what
or.
The wood chippers for.
Yeah,
you're
helping. You're helping the alligators.
It's a digestive aid. There you go.
Okay, so I was curious about this earlier today. I thought, how did such a thing happen? So I had the thought that everybody else had, like, what is this parole board doing? So I go to look at the Kentucky Parole Board. Sure enough, there's a disclaimer on the Kentucky Parole Board's website. Hey, we know you're only here because of Ronald DeSantis. Correct. You got me. Okay. But it says the parole board did not release Ronald DeSantis on parole. DeSantis was reviewed for parole on September 30th, so that would be Tuesday, as required by state law. The parole board issued a decision that DeSantis stay in prison for the remainder of his sentence. Despite this decision, a provision of Kentucky law required the Department of Corrections to release this man on mandatory reentry supervision.
Who the fuck made this shit up?
The statement cites a specific Kentucky law. So I went and looked at this law. And I didn't have a ton of time to read all the specifics here, but I find this even more confusing because the law says that 6 months prior to a projected sentence completion date, inmates are to be released on parole But the law also says, so let's say you commit a crime, you haven't otherwise been paroled, you're 6 months shy of your serving out your sentence. Kentucky law, as far as I understand this, and as far as the parole board is citing it, says you have, once you hit 6 months, you're not just able to go, you are required to go, if I understand correctly, to supervised release in that way. But the law also says that's not the case for criminals convicted of capital offenses or Class A felonies, which of course are the most severe types of crimes. So I thought, how is murdering a kid during a home invasion not a Class A felony? Okay, this is where it gets weird and complicated. Exantis was sentenced to 20 years in prison. As I mentioned, that seems weirdly lenient already. It was 2 concurrent sentences each for assault. What do you mean assault? Yes, he assaulted multiple members of the family, and that makes sense.
Was he not actually convicted of the murder? Is that what happened here?
Correct. He was not convicted of the murder by reason of insanity. However, he was perfectly mentally fit to stand trial on the assault charges, I guess, is how this played out. I have a ton of questions about this, about how he's insane with respect to the murder charge, but liable, accountable, otherwise not insane legally for the assault charges. But that is the situation that played out here. Now, the other reason I'm confused is he got a 20-year sentence. If I understand the law correctly, it says, okay, once he's 6 months shy of that, it's time to go. But actually, I think I might have just, I think I figured it out in my own head just now. That's right. The sentences were concurrent, weren't they? He got 20 years, 10 years for each assault charge, but they were served concurrently. Because I was thinking he's not 6 months shy of his sentence. If he was sentenced to 20 years, what do we do? That's the disconnect. He was sentenced to 10 served concurrently. And so now he's at that 6 month window, or that 6 month.
Right.
Okay, so that's how all the math worked out, because it wasn't making sense to me earlier. And so the parole board is citing Kentucky law, saying, hey, man, if this pisses you off, that's what Kentucky law says.
Kentucky law. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? If this guy, if this father went and hunted this guy down and shot him in the street, I would still not convict him. The justice system has not done its job.
Correct. That is to say that his lawyer says he has schizophrenia, and maybe that's true.
I don't give a shit.
I don't know if that's true or not. However, let's take that argument as strongly as we can. This guy is diagnosably mentally ill, and that's why this happened. There was no criminal intent behind it, whatever. Okay, he is still a very real danger to the public. So if prison is not the appropriate place for him, he has to be institutionalized somewhere, because even if he's crazy, you can't just put him out there where he might have the wrong mix of medications and go into someone else's home and pick up a butcher knife in the kitchen and start stabbing away. So there is no, even if you want to take the most pro-Exantis perspective of he's crazy clinically, this is a wildly irresponsible solution to that problem. He needs institutionalization. But Caroline Leavitt is saying that the White House is going to look into this. She was Matt Walsh has been tweeting about this. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, confirmed in response to those tweets, the White House is looking into this. It's wholly unacceptable for a child killer to walk free after just several years in prison. Now, as far as what the White House or the DOJ could actually do about this is a matter for Kentucky law enforcement. Kentucky law enforcement made its decision. The only thing I could see them doing, there are a few things maybe they can do. Number one, they could try to make a federal case out of this. I'm not sure if it's, murder generally is not beyond the statute of limitations, but how do you make this some sort of federal murder case and not Kentucky? The guy's from Indiana. I don't know if he crossed state lines. I don't know if there's any kind of interstate component that they could try to go after. But if there is no federal angle to prosecution here, of course you can apply political pressure in Kentucky to try to get them to change the law. And if people see what happened by virtue of Kentucky law in this case, maybe you can change it and not get this sort of outcome going forward. But as far as this guy personally, I don't know what the White House or the Justice Department is actually going to do about it. And I also don't know Like even in Kentucky, if they change that, you can't. A parole decision has got to be final insofar as you can't just like say just kidding and put him back in prison for the same conviction, right? I assume. Anyway, maybe I'm just being too complicated with my thought process on solutions here, Batman, and we need to get back to the simplicity that you were describing earlier.
Yeah, I think we're complicating things too much. I think we're letting ourselves be mired in the law, in the word of the law, and not the spirit of it. And the spirit of the law is and always has been: if you kill somebody, fuck you. If you kill a child,
it's one of the
die.
First law. It is one of the first laws, yeah, that thou shalt not kill, especially regarding innocent people.
Not murder.
Right, correct. And that's an important distinction. I'm glad you made that, because people invoke that commandment to say, of course, that killing in any context is wrong and unbiblical, if that's a word.
Killing in many contexts is completely morally justifiable.
And morally required in many contexts.
Morally required, yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Anyway, I what I'm saying is I don't expect some sort of different outcome here. But I to your point on like, are we going to see an update in this case that is outside of the justice system? That would not surprise me at all. That is to say, if Dad makes good on what he just said and takes a road trip, or how about this? Let's say that this guy's on supervised release in whatever neighborhood you live in, and eventually you find out that the guy who killed a 6-year-old in a random home invasion 10 years ago is out and living next to you and your family. What do you do? How are you supposed to manage that situation? Do you just...
The Everglades exist for a reason.
Are you just supposed to leave? Are you supposed to put your house on the market? I'm asking like what the ostensibly moral solution for the people who are stuck with that spot, assuming that's how this plays out. Are they just supposed to make sure they put a lot of locks on their door? What are they supposed to do? I don't know.
Yeah, that's unclear. I mean, the morally just solution is somebody feeds him to an alligator. We never hear from him again, and this is no longer a problem.
It is far from the worst outcome that could happen in this case, yeah. So
if somebody did that shit to my daughter, I would have made it I get it that this guy had other kids. So I understand why he didn't make it his life's mission to tear this man limb from limb. I only have one child right now. So I know that, but right now I know that if somebody had done something like that to my daughter, there would be nothing stopping me from destroying this person in every possible way that I know how.
Yeah, we're gonna find out how this plays out. If Dad is serious when he says he's made good with God, and there's some kind of move that is made, or if someone decides I'm not okay with the new neighbor situation and I'm going to protect my family preventively. Speaking of words that are hard to pronounce,
preventatively.
Yeah, we'll go with that. This is going to be something to watch. You know, I don't think it's going to be a Justice Department sort of thing to watch necessarily. I think it's going to be a neighbors sort of thing to watch, Dad thing to watch. There's probably additional developments in this story forthcoming, but
maybe. You ever see the movie? What's it called? It's a Gerard Butler movie.
I only saw 300.
Yeah, that's right. You don't watch movies.
I've seen a lot.
It's called Law Abiding Citizen.
Haven't seen that one.
It's about an engineer whose family is killed in front of him, but he's an engineer who works for the CIA.
Oh,
so he comes up with these very elaborate ways of torturing and killing the people who are responsible for it. And originally, the movie was supposed to be written in such a way where Gerard Butler's character, the engineer, gets his revenge and is sort of the hero of the story. Unfortunately, the way that it actually worked out is Jamie Foxx and his agent convinced them to Jamie Foxx being the lawyer who was basically the guy who was against him in the movie, the guy who was trying to put him away for his crimes, wound up convincing the studio to change the story such that Jamie Foxx's character was the hero and Gerard Butler's character was not.
Okay.
So it's a really good movie for the first 75% of it. And it's basically just this guy who's a genius going about taking revenge for his family in a way that nobody else could.
But then it ends the wrong way. Or it develops the wrong way. Okay.
Well, it ends the wrong way.
Now that I have to cancel a Netflix subscription, I guess I have a little bit of recreational viewing time opened up. So we'll go with that.
Talk to me later. I can get you a copy of it.
I've heard you have sources. Yeah. All right. In another episode of Yes, They Really Want You Dead. Did you hear about the current Democratic nominee for Attorney General in Virginia? This is Jay Jones. You see his text messages?
No, this is actually a story I've not looked into.
Okay. Well, the election for Attorney General is coming up next month. This guy is the Democrat Party nominee. Jones said in text messages a few years ago that he wanted the Republican House Speaker at the time dead. So in August 2022, there was a moderate Democrat in the legislature who had just died, longtime Virginia state legislator. And he died, and there were Republican legislators, including the then House Speaker Todd Gilbert, making statements in his honor. God bless this man. He was great for our state. May have disagreed politically, but let's all get together to remember him, sort of stuff. The current Democrat Attorney General candidate, Jay Jones, who was a member of the legislature at the time, he might still be. I don't know what his current office is, if he has one. But he, at the time, 3 years ago, he was in the Virginia House of Delegates. And he sent text messages to a Republican House delegate, Carrie Coyner, if I'm saying that right, I think is her name. He was criticizing not only the dead legislator's centrism, this was a centrist Democrat who I guess got along with everybody, is the idea, but also the tributes of these Republicans. And I'm a little bit confused how this conversation developed because, again, it's a Democrat legislator talking with a Republican legislator. The reporting in the National Review that has broken this story, I believe they were the first to report it at least, says that it implies that the origin of the conversation was accidental, like he meant to text it to someone else thinking it was a friend, but it went to this Republican legislator. But then the conversation developed for a long time. So I'm not clear who he thought he was talking to or how this developed, but everybody in the Virginia House of Delegates is honoring this guy who just died. And the Democrat, the guy running for AG now, says to his Republican colleague, if those guys die before me, referring to the Republicans honoring the guy who had just died, I quote, I will go to their funerals and piss on their graves, send them out awash in something. He then presented a hypothetical situation in which he had only 2 bullets and a choice to shoot the House Speaker at the time, or Hitler or Pol Pot. So 2 bullets, 3 people. He said, I'd shoot Gilbert twice in the head, the Speaker of the House in Virginia. The Republican recipient of these messages she responded saying, that bothers me when you talk about hurting people or wishing death on them, which again implies that he did this somewhat regularly, because her correspondence reads like this is not the first time he's done this to her. So that's why I'm confused about the intent and the origin of the conversation. It sounds like that this is stuff they'd talked about previously. Yeah. So she seems to say that he does this regularly. It makes her uncomfortable. Please stop doing that. She then sends the screenshots of him saying, man, I hope that guy dies so I can piss on his grave. She sent it to the speaker at the time. She says she hasn't spoken to Jones since, although there is mention of an additional phone call in this story. So I think she means since the general timeline of this incident. They haven't spoken regularly for years now. Because there was a phone call between Jones, the current AG candidate, and this Republican legislator he was texting about hoping everyone dies or hoping his political opposition dies at the time. Jones called her afterward to try to explain himself. And according to the reporting, now this is a little bit telephone game stuff because it's according to an anonymous source familiar.
Yeah.
How reliable is that? You decide. But what does make me believe it not only is the text message that we have screenshots of, but also there appears to be text evidence confirming the general themes of this phone conversation. But Jones calls up Coiner, this Republican legislator, to explain himself about texting her that he hopes the then Speaker of the House dies and he can pee on his grave. He doubled down, saying the only way to make policy changes is when policymakers feel pain themselves, like the pain parents feel when they watch their children die from gun violence. So, pursuant to his point, Jones, the guy currently running, he allegedly said that the House Speaker could watch his or should watch his wife and own. Let me back up. He could watch them. He could watch his wife and own children die, and maybe then he would change his views. That was the idea of what he was saying. Again, this according to an anonymous source, not the Republican legislator herself, but there is mention of text message evidence in this report that that the Republican legislator had then texted saying, someone else saying Jones hoped for Gilbert's family to die. So that would appear to be confirmation. And then Jones also reportedly texted that Todd and Jennifer, this would have been the speaker and his wife, they are breeding little fascists, was the language that he used in this text message. Now, Jones, if this is totally made up, he's not really denying it, too. I think that's a little bit of evidence in favor of the accuracy of the reporting as far as that phone conversation goes, too. Jones responded with a statement, quote, "Like all people, I've sent text messages that I regret, and I believe that violent rhetoric has no place in our politics. Let's be clear about what is happening in the Attorney General race right now. Jason Miyares, probably mispronouncing that, but that's the Republican incumbent running again for AG. He is dropping smears through Trump-controlled media organizations to assault my character and rescue his desperate campaign. This is a strategy that ensures the incumbent will continue to be accountable to Donald Trump, not to the people of Virginia. This race is about whether Trump can control Virginia or whether Virginians control Virginia." So it's the but Trump explanation, as always. Now, of course, we've talked a lot about...
People voted for this guy.
Yes, he's been in the legislature, and they may vote to put him in the Attorney General's office, depending on how the election goes in a month or so.
Right.
And of course, we've talked about very similar themes tonight about the morality of death and death for people who do certain things or death for people who are perceived as enemies, stuff like. I'm not acting like nobody ever talks about these things or that there aren't horrible things in your private text communication. I would grant his point that broadly is true for a lot of people. However, is this really just like saying edgy stuff? I guess my question is this a joke or is it not? Because at no point in his defense does he say, "I was just goofing with some friends." You quite literally hope they die and you want to pee on their graves. And you think it would be good if the guy's his family, his children were killed, because then he might agree with you on politics if he does. I get it. Like your private correspondence is intended to stay private, but the question remains, do you believe the things that you said or have you changed your mind? I guess it's implied like, oh, I agree. Violent rhetoric has no place. Okay. But what about your violent rhetoric in particular? He says, like all people, that itself is not taking accountability. If a lot of people steal
sent text messages that I regret. Yeah. All right. I sent a friend, "Hey, fuck yourself. I never want to talk to you again." That's a text message that I regret.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't say my political opponents should die.
Yeah. Well, you can't just point to the widespread nature of an immorality to justify an immorality too. That is to say, moral truth is moral truth for its own sake. And if a whole bunch of people violate it, it's still wrong. So for him to say, like, what's really different between what I do and what everyone else does? First of all, what you're doing is different. Everybody has edgy texts. in all my time, I don't think I've ever texted anybody in my circle of friends and associates, I really hope that guy I don't like dies and his family dies in front of him so that he'll change the way that he thinks. That is not a common thing, no matter how common you want to make it. And even if it was common, like stealing candy bars is common, if you get caught stealing them, you still have to be accountable for that. You've still committed, you've done something wrong. You have to reform. You have to change your ways. And the other problem for him is you have
to commit to restitution of your wrongs.
You're also seeking to be the lead prosecutor, the lead law enforcement official in that state. Forgive me if I expect a little more moral fortitude in a person whose job will be policing everybody else in the state. I know that I shouldn't look to politicians for moral leadership, but you are asking for that.
Yeah, you won't get this kind of moral fortitude from people who are elected to these positions because they are elected to these positions or elected to these positions because they don't have that moral fortitude.
Yeah, you're right.
That is the way that our system works right now. This is the reason why we're seeing so much crime, so many illegals, so all of this stuff, right? We're watching the system working as it's intended. We're not seeing a glitch. This isn't a this is how it's supposed to function. This is how it was designed.
Well, I think there is something inherently true that the sort of person who seeks control of others in this way probably has a screw loose, or at least many do. And I think that's what we're watching. Like, this is a guy who has a screw loose with his respect for other people. And so it makes sense if you think people are awful and you are so morally superior that you should be entitled to control every aspect of their lives. I guess that's why you would seek this sort of thing. I don't know. That's the paradox of politicians, is that the good people who actually have the moral character necessary to serve in these roles, they're busy doing stuff at home with their families because they have lives and they have important things going on. I don't know what this guy's family situation is, actually. I'm going to speculate that...
Take a wild guess. Take a wild stab in the dark.
I'm going to speculate that he does not have the sort of stable family home with children that would probably prevent him from saying such things about other stable family homes with children. But that's just my
that
guess.
haircut will tell you all you need to know.
Hey, don't knock the shave, man. Some of us...
He isn't shaved. You're shaved.
I guess that is more of a fashion choice. Anyway, all right, I got some hoax hate. Are you ready for that?
Let's do it.
And now, the nobody saw it happen, but it's totally a product of Trump's America hoax hate crime of the week.
Ah, shit, it's backwards. You think they'll notice?
In Bartow, Florida, Desiree Prather is the mother of a 6-year-old boy named Legend. I think that's his actual name. It's not a nickname. His name is Legend. I Am Legend. There was a movie about it. But she is furious at her son's teacher and I guess the school board, the school administration, after the teacher sang her son happy birthday recently. Now, what's the problem with a nice teacher singing some birthday well-wishing for your son? Well, Desiree and Legend are black, and the teacher sang the joke happy birthday variant about looking like a monkey.
Hi, Legend. Did you have a birthday last week?
Yes.
Legend Whitaker just turned 6 years old.
Can we sing happy birthday to you?
He attends Floral Avenue Elementary in Bartow, where his class and teacher celebrated with a song.
Happy birthday to you.
But what happened next?
Would you like the funny song now that I sing to you?
Stirred up hurt feelings and anger.
Happy birthday to you. You live in the zoo. You look like a monkey. And you smell like one, two. Give a clap, everybody.
I don't like stuff like that.
Legend says the song hurt his feelings. His mother, Desiree Prather, says the teacher sent her the video, and she went straight to the main office.
I automatically said, that's unacceptable. And I don't think nothing's funny about it.
Prather says there's a history of black people being described that way. which makes it extremely upsetting.
My skin is boiling. I don't even like racism, and to know where we come from and our ancestors, and for us to be labeled like that, because when they call us monkey, they basically saying that we're ugly, we act like a monkey and all this and that. I don't like that at all.
I don't like that at all, and I think that there's a way that I can get some money from all this, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I don't really like that. I mean, that's what this is, really. It's a dumb person thinking that they can scoop money out of the public trough by acting offended. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. Well, and any time that supposed offendedness, victimhood is weaponized against someone who's almost certainly a very well-meaning, probably great teacher, probably fantastic stand-up school administration, I'm sure. There's no evidence that any of these people did anything wrong.
Look at all the kids around that black kid, right? If this was a teacher that was truly, harboring a hatred of black people, those kids wouldn't be seated near him like that. Right?
Gotta protect them, I guess.
Yeah.
But what it is, it's sad anytime that this sort of weaponization happens, because of course those kids that you're talking about, there's going to be an interruption at this school district where this teacher is probably, if not fired or something, taken away from the classroom during the investigation. We're going to alter the education of a bunch of kids who probably get along great with their teacher because of the lowest common denominator in terms of being offended or playing victim or any of that.
Disrupt.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We're going to disrupt it. And the thing that is a bummer here, I mean, it's a bummer no matter what the teacher thought she was doing. But I get the sense, and tell me if you disagree, Batman, but this teacher strikes me as probably the most apolitical, normie, assuredly good-hearted, warm teacher you could possibly have. Now, why do I say apolitical and normie? Because if she was a flaming leftist, she would not do this. She actually would know, I'm good. Exactly. Not only am I going to get fired, I'm going to get murdered if I sing the monkey song.
Yes,
so she's not.
Absolutely.
I think it's a safe bet that she's not a flaming leftist, which is rare in that profession. I also think it's a safe bet that she's not a politically informed conservative, because I also think a politically informed conservative would have the same understanding. You might not think it's wrong, but you know that if you do that, you are going to be fired, murdered, whatever is going to happen to you. So I think that I really get the sense this is a truly apolitical woman, and you can hear it in her voice. The singing is actually pretty good.
Somebody who isn't aware of politics.
Yeah.
Somebody who's not paying attention. Somebody who's singing the same songs to this child that were sung to her when she was a child. Because I know that same fucking birthday song was sang to me mockingly when I was a kid. And this is fucking Asian. This is like, it has nothing to do with the race.
This is the latest development in the groupthink that I can't even believe, because of course, when I see this, I'm going to go to the YouTube video of that news report that we just saw, and I'm going to lurk the comments because I got to see what people are saying. Now, plenty of people are saying exactly the sort of things that we're saying. Like, clearly this is a teacher who had no intent and to disrupt the classroom. No malicious intent. To disrupt the classroom or to punish her or to brand her as a racist is completely unfair. It's a disservice to her, but it's a disservice to the kids at this school. But the left side of this, I assume the left, people that read like they're of progressive persuasion, they are saying that they've never heard this variant of the happy birthday song before, that this is new to them and they grew up in so-and-so era. They've never heard this before. Where did this racist teacher come up with this? I can't believe people are trying to convince each other that they've never heard the monkey variant of the happy birthday song. We all sang something like that to each other at each other's birthday parties growing up. It might not have been exactly that one, but altering song lyrics like Jingle Bells with Batman Smells, that was a part of everyone's childhood, but they're all signing up for the groupthink to repeat the line that nobody's ever heard of this monkey happy birthday variant before.
It's Stalin cutting people out of his photographs.
The school district is treating this with the sincerity that it deserves. They released a statement.
Bull fucking shit. Yeah.
They said that this is under review by district staff in the HR department. They won't say more during investigation, but there is a school investigation going on. They affirm that they're committed to serving students of diverse families and cultures and backgrounds. But the disappointing thing about that statement is it implies that this teacher will be disciplined in some way. That it grants the idea, I guess, that there was some sort of violation of the idea that this school would accept and teach students from any family. But that's where we're going.
You will not say the N-word, or you will face the consequences.
The only good thing to come out of this story is the soundboard contributions.
That's unacceptable. I don't think nothing's funny about it. I don't even like racism.
That one's my favorite.
I don't even like racism.
I don't even like racism.
What do you mean? First of all, congratulations on being such a good person.
I mean, it's okay, but I don't really like it.
I'm going to speculate about Desiree. In fairness, this is just my guess. If Desiree wants to come on the show and say I'm totally wrong, she's welcome to do that. But I'm going to guess that Desiree enjoys a little racism, actually. She does even like racism, just racism maybe of different variants. Just my guess.
I don't even like white people.
Maybe. I don't know. All right. Jussie Smollett has started his comeback tour.
I am not suicidal.
After the Netflix documentary, which I also saw, and I shouldn't have, but part of the trash TV that I can't seem to quit. In that, did we talk about the Netflix documentary of Jussie, Batman? I can't remember. I know I talked about it with some. If you want, maybe you'll be able to acquire it through other means. But if you do watch the Netflix documentary, the crux of the case that Jussie is innocent is some previously unseen surveillance footage of the Osundiros that night that they insist are white people, because the color in the video is kind of weird given that it was shot at night. And they're trying to tell us these are the unseen white attackers of Jussie Smollett. That's it. It takes 90 minutes to say, look at this picture of white people, and it's very clearly the Osundiros. And then they ask the Osundiros about the image, and they say, yeah, that's us.
Ones who attacked him because he paid us to do it.
They don't have
they're white people.
One day I hope to speak to those guys because they're hilarious. I would love the opportunity. But
they actually kind of sound fun. If that's not weird.
They seem awesome in every interview and every show I've seen.
Yeah.
Other than they have questionable connections to Jussie, and I have questions about what exactly
I don't know.
was
you
the
have
nature
shitty friends too, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, everyone
Maybe
does.
you
I'm
used
probably
to.
someone's shitty friend. They're like, dude, I got this friend. He fucking watches Netflix. Okay, okay, that's you. That's you talking about me as soon as this show is over. So everyone's someone's shitty friend. Anyway, back to the point. Special Forces World's Toughest Test is a Fox reality show that places celebrity contestants in Special Forces military training or replications of that. It's obviously not the real thing, but something close. And it challenges them to complete it. I've not watched this show, but it sounds kind of interesting. The show is now in season 4. Jussie Smollett is a contestant. There's a lot of ex-NFL players, NBA players. Shawn Johnson, the Olympic gymnast, is on it. So people of obviously physical ability and talent who are going to be put to a significant physical test. And then just Jussie Smollett, because why not?
Because
so
he's
as
a
part
black
of
fag that everybody knows.
He'll probably win, as part of
the show. If Fox is doing what it usually does, then yeah, he'll win.
As part of his entry into the program, the hosts of the show ask Jussie Smollett about why he's there, what his motivation is, and Jussie is always sticking to the story. So, of course, he's not a liar. He's just been lied about by everyone else for no particular reason at all.
16. Why are you here? Just certain things that have happened to me. Certain things extremely public, and kind of being painted as someone that you're not, and somehow getting a chance to show who you actually are.
What's this thing you saying that people are painting you as?
Someone that's dishonest have painted me just basically as the opposite of who I actually am. I mean, the complete opposite of who I am. It bothers me.
So it's not what he did. It's not what he was convicted of and then got out of on procedural technicality. Remember, he didn't get away with it legally because there was some fault in the evidence or because it was even legally questionable to the jury whether he violated the law. He got out of it because of technicalities related to the deal with Kim Foxx, the non-prosecution agreement, and the way it was later prosecuted by a special prosecutor. But none of that is what Jussie did. It's all just what happened to him. But you know, like Netflix, I gotta admit, Batman, I am interested in this trash. I think I might watch this show, even though morally speaking, it absolutely does not deserve anyone's attention.
Watch it without paying them.
we all
give
must
them money.
revive Pirate Bay to restore a
give them
godly
money.
culture.
For fuck's sake, don't give them money.
But isn't giving my attention just as bad as giving the money?
No, because they use the money to make more.
But, well, all right. I guess it's different, but I guess what I'm saying is if the material they make is morally wrong, and I'm not saying that to question the point on Netflix. They've made morally wrong material. I grant that point in full. I'm just wondering, it doesn't justify giving money to it.
Material. If you're unaware of the morally wrong material, you can't fight against it.
But I guess what I'm asking is it morally better to consume it than to pay money for it? To me, the morally square answer is don't consume it at all.
Okay, but if you're unaware that these things are being made because you're not consuming it, then you're left with no recourse when it comes to fighting against it, right?
So we have to watch it for scientific purposes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
We have to understand it. We just don't want to support it. All right.
Exactly.
Whatever gets me to indulge in a little trash TV, I'm willing to accept. All right. I said I had an update in the ongoing epidemic of transgender sexual deception. And this isn't hoax hate per se, but this topic frequently comes up in the hoax hate context. Very often, violence against transgender people that is portrayed as hate-based. Hey, I don't like trannies, and there's a tranny. Let's get them, guys. It's not hate-motivated in that way at all. It's the result of that sexual deception, informally known on this show as the fraudulent blowing.
That's disgusting.
The situation is a transgender person is a prostitute pretending to be a woman. A John hires this person for services and then learns maybe on the spot, hopefully before the pants are unzipped, but unfortunately often after the fact, the person he's with, the person he's hired is in fact a man. And then a beating happens. Sometimes the beatings are fatal. And then you have a report from the Human Rights Campaign about supposed anti-transgender hate, when the reality is there is an epidemic of tranny prostitutes who will start touching first and reveal certain truths later. And
They
if you
all
think
looked at Thailand and went, we can be like that.
If you think that discussion of that on this stream is exaggerated or overstated, there is one Florida law enforcement official that's getting serious about this problem. Grady Judd is the sheriff in Polk County. That's Central Florida.
I love him so much.
He has a lot of entertaining moments in law enforcement, it seems.
He's shitty at memes, but he's great at his job.
Very good on the microphone at a press conference. This case is no exception. And he has seen enough of these cases of transgender sexual deception, and it has to stop. He's deploying the resources of his sheriff's department.
So you order up a prostitute, and that's what you think you're getting. When you look at that, you go, wow, that's pretty rough, but any port in a storm. And then the next morning when you wake up, you find out this is who it really is. Yeah, we call that Coyote Ugly. That was Ernest Holmes from Lakeland. But then you got Antavion Harrison. You order up, this is a real professional, $1,000 for full service. No condom. Next morning, You wake up, and there he is. And then there is Rodrigo Molina Anduez from New York. This is what you ordered. She's here illegally from Venezuela. Well, she is he. This is what you wake up to. This is what we're trying to do, is protect people from this outrageous conduct, because they have no idea many times when they show up what they're getting.
Of course, men have a role to play here too. You want to talk about stopping supporting immoral things. You shouldn't have a Netflix subscription. You also shouldn't hire prostitutes. And then you don't have to worry about tranny prostitutes.
Whores than it is to stop men from wanting whores. Let's be perfectly honest. That's just the way that we're built.
It is the oldest profession for a reason, yeah. But
yes,
it is our job as men to refrain from indulging and to protect our women from that sort of thing too.
Exactly. So, it is our job as fathers to make sure that our daughters don't wind up this way.
Or our sons, by the sound of it.
But fuck's sake, you're right. God damn.
Really crazy times. You really got to worry about both. But as has been discussed on this stream many times, yeah, there's a male responsibility to play here too. But I wish maybe Grady Judd will step up into this leadership role on this. This is a very serious form of rape that is happening here. And it is apparently on the rise, or the frequency of this is increasing. You can't talk about supposed anti-transgender hate and the transgender genocide without being honest about the problem of fraudulent blowies and the violence that it is provoking. It is both and. I blame the Johns and the deceptive prostitutes with the secret wieners. But this is the fact that we don't prosecute these faking prostitutes with charges beyond just the prostitution, as far as I'm aware,
is rape.
It is exactly. It needs to be treated.
Rape.
It is sexual contact under fraudulent premises, which lacks consent by definition. So yeah, I mean, it is exactly that, a rape, a sexual assault, however that would be technically described. When there is sexual contact without consent, that's what we're talking about. And there is no consent here because the terms were deceptive. So we'll see how this plays out. Now, Grady Jarrett, is it Jared or not? That's
Grady
a different guy.
Judd.
Grady Judd. Who's Grady Jarrett? Grady Jared? Who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
That's a person. Is that like an athlete or something? I don't know. I'll probably figure it out later. It doesn't matter. Grady Judd is running this anti-prostitution bust in Florida and apparently arrested some 200 people. So I guess he only got 3 of the transgender Decepticons in this bust. But the problem, this is the fact that he found 3 in one county in Florida in a prostitution bust in just that area, I think is pretty significant. This is not an uncommon thing. But anyway, you have any thoughts on that before we move on into my surprise cringe for you?
No. I think I've said everything I need to say on that topic.
Well,
hey, got a kind of process question for you here.
Yeah.
Would you like me to respond to certain things that have been said in the chat?
Probably not, unless it's like super important. I guess we could probably talk about it offline,
important. But it's just,
did someone piss you off or something?
No, actually, I just thought it might be fun.
Oh, no.
I mean, there are plenty of people who are insulting me, to be sure, but there are plenty of people who are going, "Hey, he's awesome too."
I hope they are equal opportunity insulters, and I take my justified share of flack too. But yeah, I don't think it's probably a great idea just for show flow and for the thing about chat, and they're just going to talk shit. I don't say that dismissively. That's the point of the chat. That's why people enjoy it. Hey, I'm here to talk shit anonymously.
I agree.
So,
but having fun with that might be fun. But anyway,
let's talk about it offline. It depends on the nature of it. What I'm trying to avoid is like interrupting the flow of the show, which we're kind of doing
like
right
I just did. My apologies.
But also, it's very important to me that the audience doesn't feel like singled out or targeted, even if it's a person like being a dick or something. And I don't want to cultivate I don't know that's what you're doing. I have no idea if that's what your intent is or not. But that's one reason I avoid it is I don't want to just pick people out and be like, hey, you don't have the opportunity to defend yourself, but we're going to start talking about you. It's not really a thing I want to do. So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
You can talk all the shit you want in the chat. And I'm glad that you're here to do it. But if I've mischaracterized what your intent is,
I've already said some stuff in the chat, but
just text me afterward. We'll talk about it. And anyway,
no, it's fine. I got you.
Let's okay. So I haven't done surprise cringe for a very long time. In fact, I don't think I've done surprise cringe at all in this iteration of the show. And it's not because I'm trying to retire the bit, but it's because you have to have the right cringe. Okay, I can't just show up with like some gentle piece and force it into some carryover of the old bit. You got to have the right cringe. And so when I was putting together the show today, I didn't necessarily think this was going to be it, but I thought this would be more fun if Batman hasn't seen it or isn't aware of it ahead of time. You know, normally I like my guys sitting shotgun to have some idea of what we're going to talk about so they can think about it a little bit or have an opinion or just not go in totally blind, because then sometimes you have no idea what I'm even talking about. Surprise cringe, you don't do that. Surprise cringe is totally blind. And
but
so
this time, all I got in the notes were surprise cringe.
Yeah, I gave you no tip at all. So without
nothing.
further ado, here is my renewed submission to the bit.
We're barreling towards a shutdown. All my Democratic colleagues are here. I'm going to go search for my Republican colleagues. Republicans, y'all know there's a government shutdown. Republicans, anyone here?
Had you seen
Mike
this
Johnson
yet?
in here? Let's see if some Republicans are in here.
No.
Are there any Republicans in here? Hello? Republicans? No Republicans here. They left a mess and left town. No Republicans on the train. Hi, Democratic colleague. Max, I'm looking for Republicans. Have you seen any?
I have been looking too. They're nowhere to be found.
Have you guys seen any Republicans? No. I don't know where they are. Are any of you Republicans? No, just tourists.
I don't think nothing's funny about it.
That ain't no woman. It's a man.
Are you aware of what's going on there?
Yes, I am. There's a dude who thinks he's a woman, and he's wandering around trying to look for people to fight who don't want to talk to him.
I don't know. I didn't see the director's cut of this bit. I was wondering the whole time I'm watching it, is that guy going to go into the women's bathroom and search for Republicans?
No,
I don't know if
he was
he did.
already in there, and Nancy Mace was sprinting her way out.
That's right. Well, you're exactly. So this is the first transgender member of Congress, Sarah McBride, Democrat of Delaware. And Sarah McBride does have feuds with
dressed up as a chick.
Yes. And he does have feuds with Nancy Mace. That was a thing that was going on in the start of this congressional session, because this is the first transgender member. So the bathroom thing became a little bit of a battle. I don't know exactly how that was resolved, but Sarah McBride is desperately searching for Republican members of Congress this week because
Tim.
Is it Timothy? I thought it was something else.
It's Timothy.
Oh, well, then with regards to his particular claims of gender here.
I don't think so, Tim.
Anyway. I saved that one. I saved that one.
Yeah,
for
you
producer
had
Tim.
that. You were just. You had that ready like a sword on your hip.
You see him in the bathroom, the women's bathroom.
I don't think so, Tim.
Is that correct though? I thought his name was something else. I'm gonna fact check
sure his
you.
name was, yeah. You know what? Go ahead.
Well, actually, do you think you can confirm it for me while I go through? I just got a million things up.
Yeah,
can you just? It might not even be on his Wikipedia. Who knows? But anyway, this is Sarah McBride searching for Republican members of Congress who are gone during a government shutdown. The reason for the cringe isn't just the obvious tranny nonsense, though. It's that it's factually bunk what the premise here is. Where are the Republican members of the House? They passed a clean continuing resolution and you voted against it. So they're all gone because actually the House business is done. They said 7 weeks of status quo government spending, and once the Senate handles that business, we'll be back in session. They actually did their jobs. It is your party that opted to say no. It is your party that is refusing to go along with the standard practice in this regard, which is to extend status quo government spending and negotiate a longer-term budget bill. And so they create the shutdown with stupid games, and then when people with families have better things to do than sit around and watch the rest of their ridiculous showmanship, they act like there's some sort of emergency when they, in fact, intentionally created the emergency and perpetuate the show. Now, in fairness to the congressman, though, that is actually the funniest thing I have seen come from a Democrat probably this entire year, maybe longer. So I will say at least he's trying. I would grade that comedy as probably higher quality than, say, Jimmy Kimmel's or some of the competitors in this arena. But I would certainly grade it as higher quality than crying about memes, which is the game of Hakeem Sombrero Jeffries and Chuck Schumer as well. Now, did you confirm for me the dead name of one Sarah McBride?
It's Timothy.
It is. Okay, so you were exactly right. Well, I apologize for correcting you.
I don't think so, Tim. I know that
or doubting
is,
you.
There's a person very close to me whose name is also Tim.
Okay.
And my first thought was, well, they look nothing alike. So that's why it stuck in my head.
Yeah. Well, do you have first of all, do you think that the cringe was sufficient, or was that a disappointing?
That hurt me.
Okay, good. I wanted it to be painful.
Good. Fuck you.
You've caused a lot of pain in me tonight because you've prompted me into moral crisis about Netflix, and so I'm going to have to endure pain and suffering, and I'm really just trying to get you to share.
I'm just returning fire.
All right. Well, let's catch up with Super Chat, and we'll call it a night.
All right.
Let me pull that up here.
We're a little early on, aren't we?
Well, I've been going so long lately that I actually am trying to. I mean, we're coming up on a 2.5 hour show, and I've been hitting 3 hours the last few, and I would like to pull the show back a little bit more toward 2. So I think we're just fine.
Fair enough.
Unless you want to hang out for like another hour talking about the morality of watching Netflix.
No, I don't. No,
over on Rumble. Laser 47, law-abiding citizen was on my short list if I ever got picked for the movie nominator. Highly recommend. All right, so appears to be legit.
I've been meaning to talk to you about the movie thing, but maybe another time.
Another thing to text me about, I would say, but to like 99% chance that I'm not doing movie reviews. So if that's what you're thinking, no. Just don't have the time. It's logistically difficult to install in this show too. This version of the show. Okay. Thank you, Laser. Dangerous Spaces. For my journalism degree, I majored in PR. One of my first classes, we workshopped a scenario where we had to spin. What does this say? Oh, we had to spin a pedo moving into a new neighborhood. Made me want to peel my skin off. You have to market pedos moving in. What was this, like Democrat Party prep school? What the hell? I guess if you really want to challenge PR students, hey, here's the most difficult possible PR scenario other than being a pedo yourself. Convince people it's fine if pedos move into their neighborhoods.
There's a pedo. You're going to have to make everyone want to like him.
Oh, that was an Aussie accent? For a second, I thought that was your Steve Irwin impression.
Not Steve Irwin, but I'm sure he's going to tell me it was more like New Zealander or some shit.
I don't think so, Tim.
What happened the last time that I tried to Aussie at him?
That's actually, I don't think so, Batman. That's what I meant. We'll have to work on that Aussie accent, I think.
You're trying to dual wield your whatever those things are.
Lightsabers?
No.
Dual wield what? What am I, Darth Maul over here?
You poke buttons and sounds happen. God damn it! I don't know what
dual wield my soundboard.
Soundboard.
All
right.
I do have dual boards for video and sound, but as you see, I sometimes click the wrong buttons, so I have to work on the proficiency. Dangerous Spaces also says, "Oh, fuck off, lady! I heard that you look like a monkey birthday song even here in Australia. What is unacceptable is your stupid outrage, as in calling your kid Legend. He is a child, not a pet. I feel bad for that kid.
Yeah.
This is why I didn't name my son Ranger, is because even that carries certain expectations with it. Like, what if he grows up to be not very Ranger-like? And what if Legend grows up to be not very Legend-like?
Particularly legendary. Yeah.
He must be legendary. And those expectations are just, they're too high.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
We
went with
unacceptable expectations for sure.
We went with a very traditional name. And I think there's a reason for that.
We went, I don't know if we went traditional, but at least they don't. I went with names that don't carry expectations of performance or
well, sort of
characteristics necessarily.
The last one does imply a job, right?
Yeah, but yeah, that's fair. I guess Archer is a bowman. But I don't think
Correct.
that, in the same way, like if your name is Mason, does he have to be an actual Mason?
I mean, it helps.
Maybe he's more credible. Hey, if my son becomes an accomplished elf
name
hunter,
is Mason, and I work with stone.
That was a little
I think
better.
It's great.
Thanks, Governor. All right.
Well, I was trying to do Australian there, and Governor is a bit more.
Oh, I thought that was.
British
I thought that was supposed to be like a Cockney British accent. Okay. Close.
If you're doing a Cockney thing, there's a lot of different ways that you pronounce stuff. I don't know. I'm not ready for this shit.
All right. Yeah, we'll work on it. Honest Joe Biden, thank you for joining the show. Oh, no. What have you done to my beautiful White House portrait? Come on, man. Did you see the update of his White House portrait?
Come on, man.
No. I don't know what this is about.
There's a bunch of presidential portraits in the White House, a sequence of all of them.
Yeah.
Trump replaced the Biden portrait with a portrait of an auto pen, which is a great move. And was mocking Leader Schumer
phenomenal.
and Leader Jeffries this week with that.
That is phenomenal.
Also said, at least let me at least let me hang it. His White House portrait in the room at the nursing home. I swear, if that big orange error auto pen battery low. Well, at least he tried.
Come on, man.
Long Dong John. How about nothing? How about that? Nothing to do with the Religion of Peace terror attack of the week. The fucking guy's name was literally Jihad. Was this in the UK or which one are we talking about? No red flags at all. Hey, maybe Matt can name his fourth son Crusader. We're on that path, I think. Yeah, we could try that. I don't know what terror attack this is, though. Is this? I know there was wasn't there something in the UK or I don't know. But
I think there was something in the UK. I think I heard something about that, but I don't know.
I know Long Dong John is in Australia, or at least I thought he was. Maybe it was an Australian thing. I don't know. I have no idea. But thank you, Long Dong John. Appreciate it. Esoterica Unbound. It never occurs to the. This is censored for Raja Mohan. Cuckle fucks, I think. Who say we can't incarcerate our way to safe streets, that we can almost certainly lynch our way there. I don't want to see that happen, but it is where we are headed.
It's funny. There's are you familiar with the history of Cassius Marcellus Clay?
That sound. What was he? The name
You're
rings a bell,
boxer.
but at the yes, yeah, but I thought that I'm going to sound like an idiot.
Because that's who Muhammad Ali became, because he was named after Cassius Marcellus Clay. This is a guy who was so good at dueling that there were significant concerns prior to the Civil War that he would change the way that the vote would happen.
Oh, the original, the guy after whom Muhammad Ali was named.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Muhammad Ali, his original name was Cassius Clay. He was named after Cassius Marcellus Clay, who was an abolitionist, who was a politician / duelist, who was so good at killing people that his cousin Henry Clay, who you might know as somebody who ran against Abraham Lincoln, didn't want him to go to the South because he thought he might change the way that the vote would happen because he would kill so many people.
Well, that's the thing about the statements like that. You can't incarcerate our way out of this. Oh, you absolutely can. You can do a lot of things to get out of a problem through means of force, even violence. The truth is you have moral restraints that apply to that, and that's what our justice system is designed to do. It is to pursue justice against those that have committed wrongs within moral constraints. That's why we have a justice system. So the idea that you can't just like imprison your way out of crime. Oh, you definitely can. It's just there are moral dangers with being too aggressive in doing that. When people say we have like mass incarceration in this country or we've imprisoned too many people, it depends on how many people need imprisoning though. Like if it's a mass amount of people who commit crime and are in need of imprisonment, then that is the state of things, because those people have to be brought to justice, number one, and they have to be prevented from victimizing additional people. So yeah, as always, like these supposed truisms or fad statements or mantras from the left, they're not true. The opposite is true, but they make you sound like you're saying something profound. So I guess they go with it.
Yes. And on top of that, we find ourselves both in his era, in Cassius Marcellus Clay's era, and in ours, where your enemies want you dead.
They text about
really
it
argue.
in Virginia.
You can't really argue with these people anymore when all they want is to piss on your grave.
Well, I mean, haven't you texted all your friends about pissing on people's graves? Haven't we all been there?
I have kept until recently, I have kept a fairly, how do I put this? I kept a Facebook account that was pretty based around just me kind of lurking and watching what people say. And after Charlie's death, I went fucking nuts. And
I lurked a lot of comment sections after that, and it was definitely
I got
mentally damaging. Might be an overstatement, but it was bothersome for sure.
I got almost 100 people to block me.
Oh, you engaged. I just lurked. So you actually
engaged. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say 100 people, are you talking randos in comments? Or are you talking friends of yours?
People that I went to elementary school with.
Wow.
People I went to middle school with. People I went to high school with. My fucking former teachers.
Wait, what? Like of what era?
What do you mean?
Like what? Were they elementary school teachers? Were they junior high teachers? What are we talking about? Did they sing you the Monkey Happy Birthday song?
No. High school teachers. 2 of them.
And did they announce that they were blocking you, or you just found out after the fact?
No, I found out.
But you had a direct exchange with these people.
One of them engaged with me directly.
Okay, just give me an explanation of one. How did it go? Did you pick the fight, or did they come to you?
I basically made a post on Facebook that was something to the
What did you say?
Well, it was something to the effect of, as I watch people celebrate the death, the assassination of somebody who is basically fundamentally a good person, I wonder about their own moral character.
Okay. That's pretty measured. I thought you were going to say something much worse.
I hate you all. Die.
How do I put this? That's how I started.
Okay.
It didn't stay that way.
Okay. So you said something that was somewhat inflammatory or aggressive.
Yeah. And then I got all kinds of whataboutisms, and I got I got plenty of shit that was like, he deserves to die, all that kind of shit.
Yeah. Or no one should be murdered, but.
Yeah. That's the best one. And I called them out on it. And in some cases, I called them shitheads because they are.
Okay, and that got a teacher to block you. All right. Did you insult the teacher? Or did you just...
No, not really insult. I told him that if you're celebrating the death of your political opponents, you shouldn't be around kids.
I think that's actually pretty fair. I don't think that's...
I understand. I said that.
I mean, I understand when people block when things get personal. However, I don't dispute your point that if you have moral qualifications for the idea that a difference of opinion transforms murder into some sort of justified killing or justified adjacent, that your moral compass does make me question the wisdom of your proximity to kids. Yeah.
I told him, if this is the way that you feel about these things and this is the way that you feel about your political opponents, how can you teach a child who is brought up in such a way that they might be a political opponent? And I don't think that you should be around children anymore. I don't think that you should be permitted to teach the children of others who may not know that you have these feelings, right? Because I don't think that you have the moral fortitude to teach children without inflicting your own political bullshit on them.
Yeah, well, and he had no response other than just a block, huh?
He blocked me, yes.
Well, I don't think that sounds extremely unfair.
Screenshot all that shit. Yeah. So I can ruin his career at the drop of a hat if I want to.
Well, just get him to sing a monkey song to a kid and he'll be fired immediately. You don't have to worry about it. All right. Lastly, Blanket says, Matt, what do you think of getting physical media like movies and shows? Well, as Batman says, you should first get them from Pirate Bay, and then hopefully you have a burner on your computer and you can watch them old school DVD style. Now, I was thinking about this in the context of video games recently because I don't play a ton of video games, but my oldest son is 4 and he's, we can play video games. We actually play multiplayer Paw Patrol together.
You're going to get back into video games pretty soon, man.
So now that we can play together, I devote a little bit of time each week because a lot of it's actually educational or critical thinking, puzzle stuff. We do some cool stuff on there that isn't pure brain rot. And I've had Xbox Game Pass to just download games that are included in Game Pass. If people don't know what that is, you pay Xbox, formerly $20 a month, and they give you access to a whole bunch
of Bill Gates to, I know, do what he does to children. That's fine.
Yeah. Who am I supposed? How am I supposed to have entertainment in this world anymore? Anyway, so you get a bunch of games on this subscription. You can download them at will. You can play them at will. But if your subscription expires, you no longer own the games. That's a problem. Even if there's a high degree of convenience to it, you don't own the games. They could take away the games from you at any moment. Now Microsoft has jacked the price up to $30 a month, and I have to think about what makes sense in terms of the cost there because they're starting to get up toward the price of just buying the games anyway. But we think about how easy it is to rent movies on Amazon Prime, how easy it is to get a whole library of games on Xbox with a convenient monthly fee, and then they decide you're bad or they don't like you, and they delete your entire library of... It's the same way I own like The Lion King for my kids on Amazon, but I don't own the physical media. And I don't actually even have a player. I don't have a DVD player hooked up to my TVs or anything like that. So it's totally convenient, but you have to think about these things. It sounds crazy, but there's a little bit of a prep element to this too. That is to say, if you want any aspect of not just information that's useful in a survival situation, like maybe you'd like to have medical knowledge in a physical book in your home. If you'd like any sort of entertainment, and I know video games aren't a good example because in a real survival situation, you're not, unless you've got a generator and want to spend it on that, you're not really using that in the situation. But what I mean is like there's a benefit to having physical forms of entertainment, games, things to do, things that just don't depend on other people, other connections for you to have something fun to do with your family. So I don't know. I don't know how I got from thinking from playing Xbox to thinking about the wisdom of entertainment preps, but that's where my mind was.
For video games, it's fairly easy. You can just install games that you buy legally onto hard drives, which hard drives are even more cheap now than they ever have been. And you can just keep them that way.
Tim informs me that Grady Jarrett is a football player for the Bears.
Bingo.
So that's who I was thinking of. Sorry. But yeah, are you talking on PC or console? Because on console you have to have
PC.
the disc. Yeah. Sorry, I'm inferior. I'm not Master Race. But I tried. I tried PC gaming.
All right.
And
yeah,
I
know. My wife is a console gamer too,
Yeah.
and I keep on giving her shit for that. But I mean there are so many options that you have on PC. I don't understand why people just don't learn how to do it. I know there's a learning curve, but it's more fun, and it's more, how do I put it?
Listen, you don't understand. You're talking to the sort of trash that watches Netflix, okay? You have no idea the depths of my moral failure, all right?
Okay, pedo supporter.
I missed an Esoterica Unbound chat, and thanks to Tim for making that known to me. Esoterica Unbound says, as we approach Halloween, isn't it to be expected that there'd be ghost students in Baltimore schools? Or as they were called back in the day, spooks. I think I can say that. I don't know if there's a spook happy birthday song or not, though.
Well, spook is a term for a spy.
So yeah, it's like, yeah, espionage or feds are sometimes called spooks, but it's also a racial slur, is it not? Like a rarely deployed racial slur.
It is a racial slur, but don't fucking point that out right now because YouTube is listening.
Well, they always are. Supposedly YouTube is loosening up their rules. We'll find out, I guess.
I don't buy that shit for $1.
Anyway, that's all I got on Super Chat. Anything else you want to say before we're out of here?
Are there any Rumble rants?
Yeah, we got through them.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah, I went through Rumble, went through YouTube, Tippy. We're good on Odyssey as well. One last message from producer Tim. There's another one from Planet. Why can't I read? Why am I so bad at? Or did one come through? No, I read the Planet one. That was about actual Justice Warrior. Oh, there's another one from Planet. You're right. God. Thank you. As always, if I miss your chat, guys, you can send me an email and I will happily refund you. Sometimes I just miss them. You know, people think I'm like trying to avoid you or I'm trying to censor you or something. Sometimes people throw that accusation against me. No, there's so many things to read. And sometimes I see the same name from a person who chatted earlier. And so in my mind thinks, oh, I got that person's chat. I didn't, clearly. So if I miss your chat, it's either technological error or, my retardation. So email me.
Also, he has a giant fucking monitor in front of him right now.
There are a lot of things I have to keep track of, and sometimes I don't do a great job of it. Russian Google Yandex works for finding streaming pirate shows. Oh, so this is like some sort of Russian site. Watched you for years, but tuned out after 10 to 7. After October 7th, I see. Finally can give you dollars in good conscience. Well, geez, I guess you really didn't like whatever was said on October 7th, but I'm glad to have you back watching the show. And thanks for joining.
Wait, is this somebody who thought that you were like a Russian shill?
No, it sounds like he didn't like some opinions about October 7th that were previously expressed. I don't know exactly what, but decided to dip out then. That's fine, by the way. Like I don't, it is almost impossible to hold someone's attention for years and years and years. And so whether you're mad about something I said, something somebody else said, or you just decide that like whatever I make isn't for you for the time being, that's not a hard feelings thing. And the fact that people go away for a little while and then come back later, hey man, I just appreciate that you found some value in the show and that you're willing to come back and give it a second chance. And that's hugely appreciated by me. So, I'm not apologizing and will never apologize for an opinion expressed on the show, even if I change an opinion that I have. But I just appreciate that, people who may disagree with whatever was said are willing to come back and give it a second go. So appreciate that, Planet. And thanks for supporting the show.
October 7th was what year?
2023.
23.
We're 2 years removed now, almost exactly.
So that was back when Blonde was here.
I'm not speculating on what opinions were expressed. Draw your own conclusions. Anyway, you got anything else?
No.
I don't know specifically, but I could guess.
No,
anyway.
I don't. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna drop it.
Probably wise. There are some fights, to be transparent with the audience, there are some fights I'm not looking to pick. So again,
ultimately, I still like Blonde. There are things that she says that I absolutely agree with. Obviously, I'm in an interesting place.
I actually rarely will I try to preempt a conversation. I don't want to bring her up on this show, positively or negatively. And that's just because I don't want to even be perceived as starting fights that shouldn't be fought. This is to be completely transparent with you and the audience, as I mentioned on Wednesday, there were elements of that split that involved the targeting of my family, frankly. And I do not want any part of that again. And I don't want to be perceived as picking that fight, because for me, this is a matter of protecting my family at this point. I don't want that coming back. And so I'm not trying to hide anything about any of that stuff or tell you, Batman, that you can't have this opinion on it or not, because you can. What I'm saying is stirring up any conflict in that regard has created threats to my family I wish not to create again.
Understood. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, and I know I'm not saying that to. This is not a. This is not a.
I know
a
you're
job
not castigating
meeting.
me. You're fired. I know you're not castigating me. I'm just. That was an element of this I was not aware of.
Yeah, it's just, as I said on Wednesday when a caller brought this up, I wish her the best, not hoping for bad things, not looking to start a fight, but in the interest of just letting that conflict be over, it's not something I want to talk about. So that's why. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about?
I think that
whoops. Speaking of wrong buttons.
You and I had talked before. I don't know if you want me to bring this up now or not, but you and I had talked before about how Christianity had affected you in that you watched people email you and you saw these demons.
The emergence of the demon people, yeah.
Yeah. The Facebook things that I brought up earlier are kind of having that same effect on me.
Yeah,
I'm watching people that I knew as a child act like monsters. And I don't have any kind of way to justify their beliefs, their actions in my mind.
For me, it was very clear, and maybe you've experienced something similar, where the quote-unquote sides here presented themselves. And I don't mean sides like Democrat and Republican or your favorite team and my favorite team. I mean the ultimate sides, the sides of good and evil.
Evil.
Yeah, they presented, it was a moment in my life where it's like, here's the fork. Whose team are you on? Because you got people of godly persuasion and lifestyle messaging you to say they value what you do and they wish the best for you and your family. You also have the other team, people you've never met, never talked to, people who know nothing about you and don't care to learn, who are just messaging you to tell you that they hope the worst things in the world happen to your family while you watch, just like that attorney general candidate in Virginia.
Are people that I know.
Well, and that's crazy too, is like the people that you're talking about are not, they don't even have the moral qualifier of anonymity or disconnection. But I don't know if you share that experience that I had, which is like, hey man, here's the teams. Which team are you on? And from that day forward, I decided my team.
I didn't get that. All I said was, I watch people dance on the grave of somebody who's been killed, who has a family, who has kids, and I hate this. I hate everything about it. And I hate the fact that there are people who are celebrating it. And what I got in response was people celebrating it. People who I thought were my friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, all I can say, and again, you and I have a mutual respect on this, and you know that I would never try to push you into something that you weren't ready for. But
go ahead.
I promise.
I
believe that the questions you're asking will lead you to the truth, and I believe that the gospel of Jesus Christ is the truth in that regard. That's not me telling you have to go do this. I'm just saying, I hope. It's not even an I hope. I think the questions that you are asking and things that you are observing will lead you in that direction. And it's okay if it's not today, tomorrow. What I'm saying is all the evil that you're observing and the bother that it places in your life, there are answers to those questions. And I think the answers you're seeking will ultimately come to you.
I mean, I hope so. Like I said, like 100 people have blocked me over the course of my
they sound like people you want blocked, whether literally or just kind of de facto.
Well, ultimately, not most of them weren't people who I was like super close with, but you know how Facebook works. It's like, oh, you have everybody on there that you've ever fucking met, right? But I stopped dealing with Facebook for years. Around the time that COVID happened, because I thought there's no real reason for me to get myself blocked by saying the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
and when Charlie was assassinated, my first thought was, now I don't give a shit. Now I want to say what I want to say, and maybe I'm going to be screaming into the void. I have a Twitter account, but it's not connected to me in any way. And it's more interesting. It's more potent if I say it on Facebook and I see what happens. And I did that. And then after I got the initial wave of bullshit, I made another post that basically delved into, are you familiar with Philip K. Dick?
No. That sounds like a joke name, but it's not.
It's not.
Okay, sorry to Philip.
He was the one who wrote the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And he came up with the term android, and he did so while he was reading, while he was doing research for his story. What's it called? It's a story about where Japan and Nazi Germany won the war. God damn, what's it called? Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe the chat will help me.
Well, you find it. I also missed an Injured Guardian chat. So
Man in the High Castle. Chat helped me. Chat helped me.
There you go.
That's
Brief aside, really quick. Injured Guardian, only male property owners age 30 plus should vote. I'm kind of on board with something like that.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm
sorry for missing your chat, and sorry to divert, but I just want to make sure I didn't forget it. But okay, so you have more thoughts on this?
While he was writing Man in the High Castle, he wound up doing a whole bunch of research into obviously Nazis and Nazi officers and stuff like that, and he wound up coming across a journal of a Nazi officer who was stationed, I believe, at Auschwitz, who was just this kind of inhuman monster, a human being who was capable of incredible cruelty. And this is where he created the term android. Somebody who is sort of human, but not really. Right?
So it wasn't in a computer or robot context necessarily.
It wasn't. No, that didn't happen until the movie Blade Runner came out.
Ugh. Speaking of things we're not allowed to talk about, Blade Runner. Carry on.
But Blade Runner was based on the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And ultimately, the androids in the novel were not like the ones in the movie. Were not like the replicants in the movie. Replicants. They were much more human, but much less. How do I put this? So the whole thing with the replicants was that they had this, like, you're going to die in a certain number of years, right? You saw the movie. I know you did because you hated it.
Correct, yeah.
The replicants were different. They weren't superhuman. They didn't have superhuman strength. They didn't have superhuman abilities in any way. They were just people. But they were devoid of any kind of humanity. And those androids were based on this Nazi officer who was a monster.
So what you're saying is you didn't witness demon people, you witnessed androids. Is that the connection here?
That's sort of where I'm going with that, yeah.
And the solution to the androids was?
In the novel?
Yeah, or in the context you're talking about.
Well, in the novel, there was no solution.
There wasn't even a final solution? No? All right.
No.
I just, anyway. Okay. In the interest, I was actually kind of serious about not doing a 3-hour show. So if you have a way of wrapping up this story. Until next time, is that
important? No,
right,
I think it's important that people realize that there are a lot of people out there who want to kill you. And who would dance on your grave.
Correct.
If you were to die in any way. So stay strapped.
That is correct.
I know there are a lot of people out there who are in cities, who are in states where that's not permitted. But I'm not saying break the law. I'm saying stay vigilant.
Yeah, unironically, conservatives, right-wing people, they're always memed as, that was the Obama statement too, like clinging to your guns and your Bibles. But unironically, yes, both are. I saw, when I went to church, God, what was that, like a couple weeks ago, one of the greeters at the church I go to had a shirt that said something like, 2 very important things they don't teach in schools, and it was a Bible and a gun. And I was like, yeah, pretty much. We need to be more proficient in both of those things. Anyway, all right, Batman.
Yeah.
Did you have a quick final thought?
I think I'm about finished.
All right. Well, thank you for your contribution. And I know that this can be seriously a traumatic thing or a very mentally challenging thing. And I hope for your peace and your clarity on this. And I trust that you'll find it, because I trust that you're seeking answers earnestly. And when you seek answers earnestly, you arrive at the truth. And so I have faith that you will. Anyway, that'll be it.
Man.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for helping out tonight. Appreciate everybody joining for the live show tonight, chatting in the chat and sending super chats and all that stuff. Thank you for your contributions to the live production. Thanks if you're listening on demand later. Thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Appreciate you too. Thanks to Sean Fitzgerald, Actual Justice Warrior, for joining. YouTube and X links atop the description. Thanks to Batman for sitting in tonight. I got to thank producer Tim. I thank him every show, or at least I try to, but I missed probably 3 or 4 chats without Tim pointing me in the right direction. So thank you to producer Tim for that. Thanks and thanks to everybody else tonight too. But you can find everything show related at mattchristiansenmedia.com. Matt is Doc A, if you prefer brevity. I'm back on Sunday and Wednesday nights, of course. Hope to see you then. Have a great night and a great week in the meantime.